Billy, it is the taste of Douglas County today.
Yes. It's time to feed our fat faces. Well, my fat face. They're well-trimmed, in shape, younger faces.
I've never been to a taste of anything.
Really?
So what do you do at a taste of something?
Wander around and eat. They're really fun. I hope everybody comes out.
And like they all have like little appetizers.
Yeah,
and stuff?
it's basically what you do is you've gone to different street fairs, things like that, where they just have booths. All of this is same thing. All food, and some drinks as well. And the cool thing is the restaurants come out and they'll have a couple of things they want to prepare. Again, it's got to be done up there. So, what can you prepare there? What can you bring? What things can you pre-prepare? And you get little pieces of it. So instead of them handing you an entire burger, you may get a fourth. And so it's a little tiny sample. What I like is if you're in the area, it's a great way to sample restaurants that you may not have visited in the neighborhood. Plus, you can eat for like nothing. So that's the thing is, so if you bought tickets, I mean, as Mike Boyle was just saying, it's like $10 if you buy them ahead of the time. I mean, they're $20 at the door. But even then, if you would go out to any one of these restaurants and sit down, you'd crack more than 20 easily.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what it is. You walk around and you sample. The really cool thing is if you find something you like, you can go back. They don't cut you off. So there's some really neat
there's
things.
Simpsons episodes where Homer just returns back.
Exactly. Yes.
Over and over again.
Yeah, like when they're eating at like the big supermarkets and things, they're taking all the tasters. That's exactly what it is. It is just like a supersized version of those tasters you run into at the grocery stores. That's what it is. And it's the other cool thing is you get a lot of people from the community that are milling about as well. So it's just really kind of a nice night out for people that are connected to the community. And for me, it's the idea of wandering around and being able to sample all those restaurants that you never have time for. Yeah, it's about discovery.
Restaurants that he just listed are fantastic.
Oh, yeah, they are. There's one in there that I don't know that I'm like, And that's one of the ones that I'm like, okay, we're going to head right over there and see what they're doing.
I think Mike Boyle's got into the best line of business you probably
can. Heck yeah. Absolutely.
Just get to hang out at different restaurants.
Yeah. We are friends on social media, and 3/4 of his posts are, I'm here eating this today. I'm over here eating this today. And he's got a picture with the restaurant owner. And I'm like,
he's a pretty good trim guy.
He really is. Yeah. And then he goes on and he takes listeners on trips to Mexico. And he's figured this out. You and I are still trying to figure it out.
That's right. I decided instead to hang out with politicians.
Exactly. Oh, I have an idea. We got to talk about that idea for you next week. Okay, hang on. I got to go to the emails real quick. Where'd it go?
So I'm heading to Chicago.
Yes. You're heading to Chicago. Oh, I don't see it there. Where'd it go? Okay, there we go. Okay. What I want you to do is when the protesters, I want you to go up and I want you to talk to the protesters. And I want you to talk to them, if you can, about the Americans that are still being held.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? If they're supporting, the Hamas and the Palestinians, say, do you think they should be keeping the Americans? Do you think they should, or should they release them? And if they say they should keep them, ask them why, and you'll get some very interesting responses.
They don't see them as Americans.
Not at all. Now, if they say
them as Jews.
Yes. Now, if they say yes, what you can do is you say, now, hopefully you're like, well, yes, they should release the Americans. And you're like, well, why attack? Okay, you can attack the Israelis, but why are they holding Americans? You're kind of trying to push them on the Americans, though. They can keep, okay, fine. We can acquiesce. Fine. Let's keep Israelis as hostages, just for the example here. But why the Americans? Can't we get the Americans back? And then you're trying to get them to the point where like, yes, we need to get the Americans back. And then you say, good. Because I, Jeff Hunt, am working with a new international organization. We have connections with American lawmakers, plus we are working right now to talk to Hamas. We are working on a prisoner exchange. However, Hamas says they want more, so we need to give them more Americans. So what we're doing is we're signing people up. Are you willing to go in exchange for the Americans? Can I put you down on the list? That's what you need to do. You need to ask them if they're willing to go.
Brilliant, Billy.
See, go. And again,
I'm going to take a little clipboard too.
That's what you should do. And again, viral. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about that little clip. Come on. Yeah, so, you've seen all the other clips of them walking around asking questions about the protest. Ask them to volunteer to be a hostage. Let's see what happens. Let's see how committed they are to the cause.
They would talk about how great, Palestine and West Bank and Gaza are. So
be there. Go. Yes, they could be there. They could be a hostage. And then when they're released, they can live there. It is a win-win. But the problem is we need more people because Hamas wants more people. We got to give them more Americans. It's like an NFL trade. If we're getting back to people they have right now, they've got first-round draft picks. We're going to have to throw in some second and thirds. So that's fine. That's what we're going to do.
The only concern I have is if you are gay and you're ever invited to a rooftop party.
Don't go.
In Palestine.
No.
Don't.
Don't go. Don't go. Ever. So, but do that. See, and just say, hey, come on. Let's see if they volunteer to put their... That is
great.
So
we're at Taste of Douglas County tonight, and then we're in Chicago all next week. I'm in Chicago all next week. Billy will be manning the operations.
I'm still not allowed to leave the States. Still more months on that.
It's got that ankle monitor.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult. It's good jewelry. It's good accessories.
So it's going to be a wild few days coming up here, but let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, happy Thursday, guys. Good morning. 58 and clear. Expecting a high of 88 today. The 710 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
Colorado's best days are still ahead.
Governor Polis expected to call a special session today on the issue of property taxes. Lawmakers could remove 2 property tax initiatives from the November ballot. Proposition 50 would cap annual property tax revenue growth at 4%, while Proposition 108 would reduce Colorado's property tax rate. Some lawmakers are concerned that if the measures pass, the state would have to cover big expenses for local government. Everyone is okay after a school bus burst into flames in Aurora on Wednesday. It happened near East 11th and North Piccadilly Road, and the bus was completely engulfed in flames when they arrived at the scene. All 14 children on board made it off the bus safely along with the bus driver. Fire officials say the driver saved lives by jumping into action and getting all the kids off the bus as quickly as possible. Investigators determined that it was an accidental engine fire. Former President Trump in Asheville, North Carolina, Wednesday.
We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs to supply chain issues. We have the worst supply chain we've ever had in the history of the country.
Drill, baby, drill.
Just so you know, they stopped it, and it was terrible what they did. That's what caused the whole problem in the country, even with supply chains. I mean, it just caused a problem. And then they said, go back to the Trump plan now. Now they're drilling. But the day after the election, if they win this election, the drilling stops. We intend to slash prices by half within 12 months, at a maximum 18 months. And if it doesn't work out, you'll say, oh, well, I voted for him.
And he
in a situation with insurance like it is right now, you can't get it no matter what you pay. But prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast, not only with insurance, with everything.
Meanwhile,
525,600 minutes.
Day 25 of Kamala Harris avoiding reporters. It's been nearly a month since she's answered any questions, yet the state-run media, like the New York Times, says that Harris's policies have shifted but still taking shape. She's flip-flopped on every single issue. And then last night, Hamas supporters stormed a Kamala Khan campaign event in New York City. They set off smoke bombs at the restaurant. The incident happened in New York City after the mayor, Eric Adams, was seen at the event. Police were seen fighting off protesters and making mass arrests. She has no idea where she stands on Israel and Hamas and Islamo-Nazis. The Boulder County coroner is still working to identify burned human remains found during the Stone Canyon fire near Lyons. Investigators say the remains were found inside what was left of a burned home, and their condition has made the DNA extraction difficult. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. The Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 11-4. Padres in town tonight at 6:40. Colorado State with their media day yesterday as they get ready for the CU Buffs in week 2. And they also take on the UNC Bears, see if they can pull off the upset there. But college football is 3 weeks away. The founder of famous Amos Cookies has died. Wally Amos was 88. 55 in Louisville, 57 in Lone Tree, and 58 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue on Thursday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Sunshine for much of the day across the Denver metro with added cloud cover late this afternoon and early tonight. Still going to run the slight chance for some showers and thunder towards evening. Highs today will be in the mid-80s, clearing tonight, low 60s. Sunny, warmer Friday and this weekend. Low to mid-90s for highs and lows, lower 60s. Dry Friday and Saturday, showers and thunder on Sunday. Weather brought to you by branchplanning.com. Secure your future retirement with a reliable income stream. Annuities provide guaranteed payments, giving you peace of mind. Get your review at branchplanning.com or call 720-651-9800. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, Billy, it was kind of a wild day the other day at the Hunt House. We live on a little ranch. And did we get any of the audio from the...
Oh, shoot. I did not. Oh, damn it. Hang on
Nope,
a
it's
sec here.
fine.
Give me a sec here. Tap dance for a sec. Give me a sec. I'm sorry. I had something else I was doing this morning. I apologize.
Well, no. I just bring it up because I thought it was pretty bad, and then I saw, and then I saw the news, and it was bad. So I've been in 2 of these storms recently. I was in Lakewood a few years ago with that huge hailstorm that came through and just destroyed Colorado Mills Mall on the roof, and they had to close it for years and all that. And I still got the dings on my car from that storm, and you could hear it coming. It was like a curtain and a wall, and very similar hit 2 days ago out in Elbert County. And I was home at the time with the kids and all that stuff. There was so much water coming down our road. You could put a raft on it.
No.
And raft down it if you wanted to.
That's crazy.
And it has just wrecked my road. So I spent a good portion of yesterday trying to dig the dirt, because I live on a dirt road, from the bottom of my driveway and drive it back up to the top of my driveway and fill up some holes and stuff like that. And then I saw this, those little apps you get, then like news break apps, and it gives you news in your area. And it hit Elbert County pretty hard. Yeah, and then I saw this on Fox 31. So if you can cue that up.
Yeah.
5 with a violent, fast-moving storm that has heavily damaged portions of property in Elbert County. The wind and rain in that storm was so intense that it washed out roadways and also down trees. Just look at all this damage out there.
Yeah, see the drone video there. The National Weather Service now investigating to see if a tornado may have touched down. Fox 31's Vicente Arenas joining us now from the town of Elizabeth with more on the damage and the aftermath.
We've been talking to a lot of people that live in this town of Elizabeth in Elbert County. Some of them saying they were driving down the road and all of a sudden the weather began deteriorating fast. They were scrambling to figure out what to do next when the weather turned so bad. Sheets of rain, strong wind, a flag fighting to stay up right as a storm moved through. The weather so bad, Jimmy Almquist put his kids in the basement, thinking it would just get worse and worse.
It was just a wall of water came in, and for about 45 minutes to an hour, it was just constantly blowing about 60 to 80 miles an hour.
When the weather cleared, Almquist went to check on his parents' property nearby, and this is what he found. An outbuilding blown to pieces, debris scattered in fields. Norm and Linda Almquist were out of town and saw the damage for the first time today. The family's prized trees they planted decades ago, heavily damaged too.
The building can be replaced, but can't replace all the trees for another 40 years.
Some good news, though, their home was not hit in what neighbors described as a vicious storm.
He said they were standing in front of the window watching the storm, and all of a sudden it turned pure white. You couldn't see 6 inches out the window.
The National Weather Service is now trying to figure out what kind of storm moved through here.
We'll have to reassess what kind of pattern that damage really occurred, and to kind of give it a better determination if it was straight line winds or tornadic winds.
Some roads were washed out and were being repaired today. All this not far from the Almquist home, where the cleanup will begin soon. The fire department here in Elizabeth tells us the good news is that no one was hurt and no rescues were needed. In Elizabeth, Elbert County, Vicente Arenas, Fox 31.
Dude, that thing hit in like 15 minutes.
Jeez.
It was crazy.
That's nuts.
And then so much water washed down. It's probably going to take me 3 or 4 days to repair our driveway with my tractor.
Jeez.
Like scooping up all the dirt and then filling up all these holes. And we basically have like a Grand Canyon that's now running down through our property.
Yeah, water seeks the least path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awful. And looking at all the trees, because again, that building was destroyed for the family we were talking about. But the trees were upended. They were enormous trees. And that's so hard to replace.
Do you remember? Here's the question I have for you. Do you remember August being a time when you get big storms in Colorado?
Not really. No.
I don't remember August being the time that you get hit like this.
We don't. But again, and it's an awkward thing, but this is part of the climate change thing. And again, absolutely it is. It's the climate's changing. Oh no, it's the climate's changing. But again, I don't want to get into a climate change debate because there's all sorts of things we can debate about whether or not or how much human has impact on it, etc. But that's what they'd been saying. And if we go back to what the scientists, again, agree or disagree with what they say is the cause, they did say that going forward, we were going to have our bigger storms at different times of the year, and we would have rainstorms and other things and higher heat, just as an overarching effect of it. That the climate is going to change. And again, I'm not arguing human cause, stop driving cars, don't eat the meat, get cow farts. Don't want to get into that. Just the idea of, yes, we're having storms at weird times because this is not the monsoon season for us, and especially not this heavy. The monsoon season is early for us in the spring.
Normally we'll get hit in the spring and that type of thing.
Exactly.
August.
Yeah, August. And again, we've seen tornadoes all over the place. We've seen heat's all over the place and weird things. And this is just what's happening right now.
I saw down near Pikes Peak, they got slammed by a tornado the other day.
Yeah, which is crazy to think. Pikes Peak, tornadoes. Yeah, it was rare for Colorado ever to get by tornadoes. And now we get, a few more. And that's it. And again,
I just feel like it contributes to our public perception that we are just a bad state.
Yeah, exactly.
we have 14,000-foot peaks with tornadoes on them.
Exactly. Yes.
Welcome to Colorado.
And in the middle of August, you may lose your driveway because of a storm that only lasts 15 minutes.
Yeah, right.
That's the part that it comes in. It's just like punch and then gone. And that's the weird part. And so when we talk about the overarch as far as climate change, these type of microbursts will increase. But again, I'm not talking cause relationship. That is for another day, not for here now. But there are some changes, and it could just be cyclical. It could be man-made. It could be something else that is going on in the environment completely. It is
absolutely
not even worried about it.
Without debate, though, Taylor Swift's Jets fault.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. And so that is the funny part. I like the fact that you pointed out, the people that say, but the climate change and wait, my Jets are right over there.
Billy,
jerks.
worst storm you're ever in?
Oh, depends. It depends on what we're talking about, because I was here for the 82 blizzard. That's an awful storm. The blizzard that happened would have been 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. That one that socked us in.
96 was the one where they couldn't get the Broncos out.
Yeah, 96. That's the one I'm thinking of. So 96.
No, wait, hold on.
It'd be a little earlier than that.
98. I was 6. No, I was just turned 16.
I have to figure out. I got stuck.
So 97-ish.
I got stuck downtown. The other one was, I remember there was a time when we talked tornadoes, there was a tornado warning in Denver, and it would have been, gosh, I've got to think, somewhere in the late 80s.
Yeah.
It would have been. And I remember we were at my grandmother's house with my cousin, and she didn't have a basement. And we were in the path of the tornado. So we went next door, and the next door neighbor had a basement, and I didn't know what a snooker table was. I learned what a snooker table was that afternoon. So he turned on the radio. The neighbor was with us, and he taught me how to play snooker. So as a kid, that was a really neat thing.
I don't know what that is.
It's basically a really tiny pool table, and it has some other things on it.
with the little bumpers.
Yeah, the bumpers on it. Yeah. So I had no idea. I'm like, what is this? Because I'd seen pool tables before, but this was different. So that's one reason that storm is kind of like seared into my mind. There was another one where I was at work, and this thing cost thousands and thousands of dollars of damage, but it was like this, a quick moving storm that dropped hail that was a little bit smaller than golf ball size. And I was at work. I was working at DU at the time. Working at summer camp, and it just ran through. And I remember us having emergency procedures to get the kids released from camp because of the storm.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are probably. What about your worst one?
Well, yeah, those two are the ones that kind of come to mind recently. But obviously, those blizzard ones are. The one that I always found interesting was the one that drove the Platte to flood in the 60s that resulted in the creation of Chatfield Reservoir.
Yeah.
All right. So they built Chatfield for a reason. And it was because Plum Lake, I think, or Plum Creek. Plum Creek was ran up where Chatfield used to be. And then there was like this crazy storm that just dumped a ton of water really quickly. And then it flowed down Plum Creek into the Platte. And then that went all the way through the city of Denver and wrecked it.
Yeah.
I mean, just destroyed homes and killed people and all that stuff. And so as a result, they built Chatfield. Yeah. So if you look at the city of Denver now, it's basically surrounded by reservoirs.
Yeah, it is.
And it's the point being, we're going to protect the city so that we can actually control the release. Out of it. You're never going to have that type of mass flooding coming down the Platte anymore. So
yeah, we just have mass flooding of immigrants and so on. What's the worst storm you've been caught in when you've been out in the elements?
I was a mountain guide.
Yeah, that's why I'm curious.
Yeah, I was a mountain guide for all of college, and we had a few where the lightning came right in on us, and we had kids, like we were backpacking with kids, and so we weren't on tops of mountains or anything. It just came in while we were down in the trail, down in the valley, that type of thing. But what you got to do, what you're trained to do, is spread everybody out.
Yep.
Because if there's a lightning strike, you want at least half the people to live.
You'd hope, yes.
Right? So you can go get help.
Yeah.
So you spread everybody out, you get into a tiny little ball, and you stick your heels together.
Yeah.
And the reason being, if the lightning hits the ground and then the electricity charge is running up through, it'll run up through your foot into the other heel and then go back out the other foot. It won't hit your vital arteries.
Yeah.
So you get into a little ball and stick your heels together. We had a few instances where we had groups out and those types of stuff. And it's like being under artillery fire. It's just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Like if you're right in the middle of the lightning.
Oh, it's awful.
It hits.
I got caught on Mount Holy Cross on the sheer face when I was 18 during a storm. We were out hiking, a bunch of people, and we're going up. We're like, let's do the hard side. Okay, let's do this. Okay. But were we prepared? No, but we're stupid and young. We get part of the way up on the sheer face, and a storm moves in quickly. Oof. And it gets ugly real fast. And we are trying to navigate down while it starts raining on us. We get about 2/3 of the way down, and that's when the lightning starts. And it was like, okay, you can't, there's nowhere to huddle or to hide. And so that was a part where we were like, okay, that it was a real reality check
Wow.
for things that we did later on that summer. Yeah, that was the one. And I remember the guy whose idea it was, and he was older than us. He was probably 31 at the time because there was a group of us doing it. And he comes down, he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, we agreed. He's like, I'm so sorry. He goes, that was dumb. We should not have done that. Like, it was sunny when we started again. It was the typical Colorado mistake. Looks fine. What could possibly change? This is going to be the weather.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. This ain't San Diego.
We're getting lots of text messages here. Early 80s tornado in Thornton.
Yep.
That was one of them. The Big Thompson flooding 10 years ago.
Yeah. Forgot about that. That's a huge
that
one.
destroyed a lot.
Yeah.
September rainstorm. They linked to it, Jason, but the link's not working. I'm getting a page not found on that. But give us a call or text us.
Yeah.
Because that was a wild day 2 days ago. It just kind of came in. It was like a curtain. You could watch it. Came in, hammered us for 15 minutes, then came through and created a ton of damage. And Bill, I will get a little controversial here.
Ooh, excellent. I like this.
I am not a believer after living through all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I believe in like slow erosions. I think that they're like big things like the Grand Canyon were probably created in like massive floods. I'm not so sure I get into the like slow erosion thing.
I'm not sure. I'm gonna grab the phone. I'm not sure because the erosion is different in soil versus rock.
Yeah.
And when you have to get through what is mostly igneous and sedimentary rock inside of Grand Canyon, that's tougher. It takes a lot of time to get through. Igneous, more sedimentary and metamorphic rock. It's mostly metamorphic rock, not igneous. It's not volcanic. So it's mostly metamorphic, and that's harder.
There's an argument out there that some of the bigger things that happen in our world are the result of not billions and billions and billions of years of erosion, but more kind of like big moments, like maybe Noah's flood. I don't know. Feel free to give me a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Jason sent in the text. Oh, yeah, the 2013 flood. This was... 9 people were killed. That was a big one. 2013. Wow. Thanks for sharing that with us. Feel free to give us a call or text us on 710 KNUS. What's that, Billy?
Oh, we have Rob. Rob in Denver.
Rob, I'll get to you in just a second. I want to talk to you about Dan Kaplis and my friend at Dan Kaplis Law. Look, I've known Dan for well over a decade. Dan is pro-life, pro-family, pro-America. Dan suggests that you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan is the son of a police officer. He's a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. He's right there on the values. He's a winner in the courtroom. He's so trusted that Dan Kaplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. He's a serious firm for serious cases, but Dan is not just reserved for the rich and wealthy. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. If you need Dan's help, give him a call. Even if you're not hurt right now, put his phone number in your phone, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplislaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. Elbert County and Elizabeth hammered by a wild storm that created a lot of damage in about 15 minutes. Have you ever had to live through something like that? Give me a call. Rob, you'll be up next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So 2 days ago, we were at home and like out of nowhere, hail, wind, it was like a curtain of water and crazy storms came through, create a lot of damage out there in Elizabeth and Elbert County where we live. Fox 31 was out there covering that yesterday, but just raised a question in my mind because I'm going to spend the next 3 or 4 days repairing our driveway. But have you had to live through something that crazy, that quick? Lots of text messages. Iggy, I was stuck on Mount Meager. Longs Peak, Boulder Field at night during lightning. Couldn't get close enough to the ground. When it's coming in that hard, you're like, how small can I possibly be?
Yes, exactly.
Let's go to the phone lines. Rob, Denver, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Can't complain. Hey, I can relate to 2 points you made in the first segment. One, the flood of 65 on the Platte.
Yeah.
And then the having to disperse and crouch during lightning. Flood of 65. I grew up in Littleton, about 5 miles north of where Chatfield Dam is now. And my father was a veterinarian. And he was a veterinarian at Centennial Racetrack, which used to be a horse racing track right off of Santa Fe and Bowles, just north of there. And with the flood coming, we had 5 acres, and he put out an open call for people to haul their horses up to us because we were up on the high ground west of the river, and we had over 350 head of horses on.
Oh my goodness, Rob, that's crazy. That's wonderful. Your dad did that. Wow.
And I can remember my dad, I was like 4 years old at the time. My dad took me down to kind of the edge of the hill, and we could oversee the Platte Valley there where it was flooded.
Oh, no, Rob, you break it up a little bit. Yeah.
I can remember seeing trailer homes from Woolhurst Trailer Park down the river.
Oh my gosh, just floating away. That's crazy. What was that like? What was that like as a kid? I mean, looking at all of that water, what was going through your mind being that young and watching that?
It didn't register to be the situation. I didn't comprehend it.
Yeah.
But my sister was unbelievably mad at me because I took our cat and put it in the dryer because I didn't want it to get wet.
You were a problem solver. She should not have been mad at you. You were solving problems, my friend.
Free your mind, your butt will follow, you know?
Exactly. Oh, my goodness. Now, tell me about the hiking and when you guys were caught in the lot. Where were you and what was going on? How old were you? Who were you with?
Okay. So after high school, I was working with Job Corps, the Young Adult Conservation Corps. And it was a job program to give young kids a decent shot and a good reference, to enter the working world. And I worked for the Forest Service in the Pike National Forest. And we worked down by Devil's Head, Indian Creek, Rampart Range, Bailey, Kenosha Pass, anywhere throughout the Pike National Forest along the Front Range here. And we were doing a lot of timber stand improvement and tree planting down in the area of Cheeseman Reservoir, Goose Creek, Deckers, Devil's Head, down, south and west of Metro Denver. Yeah. And we would get thunderstorms roll through just about every afternoon at 1 o'clock. You could almost set your clock by them or your watch by them.
Yep.
And what we would have to do is take all of our implements, chainsaws, Pulaskis, McLeods, axes, whatever, shovels, put on a high ground, like on a ridge line, and we would have to go into the low ground and like a gully, something like that, and we'd have to disperse 20 feet apart, and you would squat on the balls of your feet with your arms extended out on your knees. The theory being if lightning hit you, it would pass through your shoulders and out and not go through your entire body. Thankfully, none of us ever had to put that theory to the test, but saw some just incredible thunderstorms, lightning storms, and to this day, I still love a rockin' thunderstorm. I mean, I've seen lightning hit a tree 75 feet away from me and just literally explode the bark completely off the tree. It hit where our tools were one time and actually fused a brush hook and a chainsaw together.
No way.
It just
wow.
Just plasma welded it.
Wow, Rob, that is amazing, and I really appreciate the call. I'm looking up now some of the data around the Platte River. 14 inches of rain in 4 hours.
That is nuts.
Fell
Rob,
near Castle Rock and Plum Creek, and that's what. And then if you Google it, Littleton, the Museum of Littleton has like pictures of the Centennial Racetrack. Everything he was just talking about.
Yeah, I remember.
Crazy. Let's go to Scott, line 2, Idaho Springs. Good morning, Scott. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Morning.
Hi, I was going to bring up that the Centennial Racetrack thing as well, and I was 4 years old. Also, my family was camping during the storm, and then extended family was worried about what had happened to us because they didn't know what was going on. But as far as the racetrack was concerned, I had also heard that it was great. Your previous caller said his family saved a bunch of horses, but a bunch of horses lost their lives too.
Oh yeah,
and had some. I mean, most people don't even know that Centennial Racetrack was there, right next to the Platte.
Yeah. Some people don't even remember the dog track out in Commerce City, my man.
Yeah, that's true. There was one there too.
What was it like being 4 and being in that kind of a storm? What was going through your mind? Because that's a really young age, and what did you take away from it? What memories do you still have?
To be honest with you, what I've heard was that as we were driving down out of the mountains, they could see the floodplain, going across the metro area, such as it was back then. And then I've seen a friend of my parents had some video, or had some. It had been converted to video, but I remember him showing me or handing me a videotape that I watched of that he had taken with Super 8 or just
be Super 8
film of the flooding and the water just pouring and everything piled up under bridgeways and all sorts of debris under bridgeways. So I remember seeing that film. I don't know where that is because he's passed away, and but that would be a neat film to be able to have. It was devastating, and if I'm not mistaken, there was enough rain that also impacted the development of not only Chatfield, but also Cherry Creek.
Oh yeah,
because the confluence of the two in downtown Denver, that was pretty devastating. So it was a more widespread flood than just that. Than just what impacted or what caused Chatfield to be developed.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
that's
man.
led to the creation of all those reservoirs around there so they could protect the city of Denver.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
Scott.
Have a great
Appreciate
day.
the call. Thanks so much. Have a
Cool.
great day. Yeah, just wild how fast that came through.
Yeah, and can you imagine being
and the
4?
destruction it did on our property,
and being 4 and looking at
Right.
that and thinking, oh wow. I mean, that kind of in some ways changes your perception of Denver, of the world, of weather. It's when you get stuck in that thing. For me, we're talking about the 80s big snowstorm, and I thought I was all of a sudden planted in the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. I was on Hoth. Me and my friends were building tunnels, and we had all over. It was great. It was fantastic. We thought this is the best thing in the entire world. We didn't understand why my parents were complaining so much. We thought the adults in the neighborhood were just being sourpusses because this is fantastic. Do you know how much snow this is? Yeah, that's what we thought.
So we've got a lot to cover today. In the 7 o'clock hour, I'm going to give you an update. We literally changed the experience of every Coloradan down at the Colorado State Capitol, probably forever.
Yeah, because of now, again, in this dynamic here on the show, if one of us was going to do something that would end up with a universal rule change in the state capitol, it should be me. But no, it is my partner, the dude across the glass. Jeff Hunt has done something incredible in which he has changed the rules at the Capitol. understand the power this man has. We'll talk about it with you later today.
7
It's
o'clock
incredible.
hour, we're going to get into that. And then is homelessness going up or down in the city of Denver? Well, it depends on who you ask.
Spend a lot of money.
We'll get into that at the 8
What's
o'clock
going on?
hour. And then reparations. How much are you ready to pay in order to heal this nation? Lots to get into. And then when we come back, you choose the news. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
All right, Billy, you got to give the audience what they want. And what they always want is you choose the news.
Yes, it's time for the feel-good segment of the mornings. It is time for You Choose the News, everybody's favorite fake radio news game show. Why do we do this? Because the people in charge have no idea we are being this frivolous with the airtime. So, shh, be quiet. You know how we do this. I scour the interwebs for moments for these stories right here in my hand. I give them even dumber headlines because we do a lot of really stupid things. Yes. Alrighty. And as always, Jeff Hunt and Blake Olsen from our newsroom is joining us to make the choices today. What stories do they deem worthy of your attention? Could it be this one? Headline number 1, becoming more human every day. Headline number 2, bribery and exploitation starter kit. Headline number 3, perhaps, don't expect a gift. Or maybe it's headline number 4, a lesson for the children. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
Let's start with a lesson for the kiddos.
Yes, a lesson for the children. Here we're traveling to Austin, Texas. We are going to meet a teacher at an Austin school, Mr. Bill Atkinson. Mr. Atkinson loves his job. He loves seeing the smiling faces each and every day. Chances, though, he does get to see them a little earlier than normal, because sometimes he has to sleep in the parking lot. Mr. Atkinson cannot afford a house in Austin or even rent on his $53,000 salary per year. So now, in order to continue to be a school teacher, living in his car. He's saying he makes too much to get supplemental insurance and income. He doesn't qualify for Section 8 housing or anything else, but he doesn't earn enough to cover the expense of monthly rent.
And I guarantee you the administrators in that district are doing just fine.
Yes, I bet they are doing just fine. I bet they have multiple cars and vacation homes, and that's the problem. And so the idea is I keep thinking about, okay, this is the teacher. If your teacher is living in their car, dude, what do you think about the teacher at that point? I mean, I knew some teachers growing up that lived in rougher parts of town, and some of them were like, these are the sacrifices I'm doing in order to make sure that I'm teaching, etc. Now you're like, dude, you're in your car.
I want to look at his budget. I want to see his budget.
Dave Ramsey, there, Blake.
Yeah, man. There's some places in East Austin he can live.
Well, he said the rent right now is about $1,400 a month there.
Yeah.
So that's what he's saying.
I bet he has a huge car payment. That's my guess.
Could be, but at least hopefully the huge car payment is now storing all his stuff.
Yeah,
so, there we go.
Yeah,
all right,
interesting.
And Blake, becoming more human every day, bribery and exploitation starter kit, or don't expect a gift?
Let's go with the becoming more human every day.
Becoming human more every day. This is in San Francisco. The Waymo driverless cars are becoming more and more human every day, especially when they're waiting. People around a certain parking lot in San Francisco are complaining about the noise the automatic taxis are making at night. Why? Because they're being very human. They're honking at each other, sometimes aggressively. This is the problem. These Waymo driverless cars have a proximity sensor. When something gets within a certain amount of feet of them, they honk. But Waymo has contracted with this parking lot, but when these cars are not active, they park in the parking lot. Sometimes close to each other, sometimes setting off the proximity sensor over and over and over and over and over. You get the point.
Yes.
The residents are saying, yes, the residents say the cars will randomly honk at each other all night. And they say
that's horrible.
They say the worst time is if a car is entering or leaving the parking lot, because what happens is it goes down the aisle and all the cars beep, 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 the entire time. That's horrible.
Awesome.
Yeah, but again,
that is right out of that movie I, Robot. You remember they all kind of live together in their little
exactly. And again, the cars, stuck together, not moving very well, and everybody honks at each other. Again, very, very human. They're becoming more human all the time. All right, our final choice this morning, Mr. Hunt, bribery and exploitation starter kit, or don't expect a gift?
Don't expect a gift.
Yeah, don't expect a gift. That's what some of the guests of a brand new high quality New York wedding are saying. According to the Not deputy editor, Esther Lee, she's saying right now there's a new trend happening in weddings. Pay your own way. More and more weddings are offering tickets. You got to buy your way into the ceremony, bitches. Yes, that's this couple is asking for $350 a piece to go see them stand in front of you, kiss each other, and maybe serve you a semi-good dinner. Yes, I know. This is getting ridiculous. Here's the thing. Back in the day, Blake and I are old men. Back in the day, your wedding gift was supposed to basically cover the cost of whatever the ceremony and everything else. What it would cost for you guys. That's it. Now they're charging you. I'm sorry, you give me a ticket to the wedding? Don't expect a gift.
And there's no way those marriages are lasting.
No way.
Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, that's it. That's the end of You Choose the News. Thanks so much for playing along, gentlemen. As always, they're your giant winners, and I'm a big loser. Back to you, Jeff.
All right. When we come back, I've got some big news on a personal lawsuit I was going to file against the state. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Breaking the law. 710 KNUS.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, August 15th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole another hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So get another cup of coffee, brew in Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up after the news on with Blake Olson. I haven't been able to talk about this because of some legal things, but threatened the state of Colorado with a lawsuit over free speech issues. And the result was some major changes down at the Colorado State Capitol that will affect everybody. So I'll give you an update on that right after the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah,
Hey, Blake,
that's interesting.
you remember in high school when you used to like get in trouble and the principal kind of that happened? Yeah.
That happened
once or twice. Yeah, that's what Jeff did. So you have to figure out why the principal.
We're not gonna take it.
No,
we're not gonna take it. And then what I did was organize the students to walk out against the principal.
Is that right?
Wow.
At Creek?
No, I mean, it's metaphorically.
Metaphorically.
Basically,
Gotcha.
this is a metaphoric. Yeah, it is everything that every high school kid wants to do, rebels against, and Jeff wins. This is a fantastic story, man.
I cannot wait to hear that. Oh, that's awesome. All right, 59 and sunny, expecting a high of 88 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
Colorado's best days are still ahead.
Governor Polis expected to call a special session on the issue of property taxes today. Lawmakers could remove 2 property tax initiatives from the November ballot. Proposition 50 would cap annual property tax revenue growth at 4%, while Proposition 108 would reduce Colorado's property tax rate. Some lawmakers are concerned that if the measures pass, the state would have to cover large expenses for local government.
We intend to slash prices by half within 12 months, at a maximum 18 months. And if it doesn't work out, you'll say, oh, well, I voted for him.
Former President Trump in Asheville, North Carolina on Wednesday.
When Kamala lays out her fake economic plan this week, probably will be a copy of my plan, because basically that's what she does. Just remember, she goes to work every morning in the West Wing. Her desk is 10 steps from the Oval Office. She cast the tie-breaking votes that gave us record inflation. And for nearly 4 years, Kamala has crackled as the American economy has burned.
Yeah, and it's day 25 of Kamala Harris avoiding reporters. It's been nearly a month, and Harris is planning to propose a federal ban on corporate price gouging in food and groceries. She'll unveil her economic policy platform tomorrow at a campaign rally in North Carolina. Harris reportedly also plans to scrutinize potential mergers between supermarkets and food producers. Yeah, blame them. Great idea. Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank on her running mate, Tim Walz.
If you look at his stewardship of his state, Minnesota, it's been not good. And I'll tell you how I measure it. People say, oh, you're partisan. No, I'm not. I'm looking at the track record of an individual who came into a state and wiped out job creation. He wiped out job creation in professional, in manufacturing, in accounting, in every subcategory you look at. Those jobs moved to South Dakota and North Dakota. The South Dakota job rate right now is 4 times that of Minnesota. Minnesota only creates jobs in services that are funded by the government, healthcare and social services. Every other sector is in decline. He's also added a surcharge of 1%, 100 basis points, on top of 9.8% taxes on individuals that are retiring. And of course, they're leaving the state in droves. He's the best governor for Texas, for Florida, for North and South Dakota.
That's perfect.
That's a great line.
Isn't it, though? I mean, and he's hard to watch on stage. Makes some really weird faces. I don't know if he's sniffing people like Biden was. I'm not sure. But take a look at that. Everyone is okay after a school bus burst into flames in Aurora on Wednesday. It happened near East 11th and North Piccadilly Road, and the bus was completely engulfed in flames. When they arrived at the scene, all 14 children on board made it off the bus safely, along with the bus driver. The driver saved lives by jumping into action and getting all the kids off the bus as quickly as possible. An accidental engine fire was the cause. The Taliban held a military parade at Bagram airfield in Afghanistan with the U.S. military equipment they stole after the disastrous
Blake,
Biden-Harris withdrawal.
I thought for a second that was Ilhan Omar's success party rally.
Yeah, yeah, possibly, yeah, or her brother,
her victory party there.
Yes, or her brother, who she's married to. The Taliban was celebrating the 3rd anniversary of taking over the former U.S. airbase. God, that is horrible. As they trolled the U.S. with some of the $85 billion in military equipment, the Islamic Emirate eliminated international differences and expanded the scope, they say, of unity and cooperation in the country. That's what Deputy Prime Minister Malvi Abdul Kabir said, or whatever his name is. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 11-4. Padres in town tonight at Coors. First pitch, 6:40. 55 in Superior, 57 in Littleton, 59 in Denver. And I can't wait to hear Jeff's story coming up. Jeff and Bill continue Thursday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Sunshine for much of the day across the Denver Metro with added cloud cover late this afternoon and early tonight. Still going to run the slight chance for some showers and thunder towards evening. Highs today will be in the mid-80s, clearing tonight, low 60s. Sunny, warmer Friday and this weekend. Low to mid-90s for highs and lows, lower 60s. Dry Friday and Saturday, showers and thunder on Sunday. Weather brought to you by branchplanning.com. Secure your future retirement with a reliable income stream. Annuities provide guaranteed payments, giving you peace of mind. Get your review at branchplanning.com or call 720-651-9800. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, this is the headline from FIRE, which is a free speech organization. Victory! After FIRE threatens lawsuit, Colorado lifts ban on political apparel. I'm wearing the infamous sweatshirt today. So about a year and a half ago, I was down at the Colorado State Capitol to watch some official proceedings around crisis pregnancy centers. Pregnancy resource centers are these great little ministries out there that want to help women facing a crisis pregnancy and not steer them in towards an abortion, which is pretty much what Planned Parenthood always does. It's like, we got one solution for you. But these pregnancy resource centers provide lots of options, whether it's financial support, material support if you want to keep the child, or if you don't, here's some adoption options for you. So was down there to support them because Phil Weiser and the progressives, the Colorado State Capitol, were like, this is a real threat to Colorado. Yeah, we're not going to arrest you if you steal a car, but if you're running a pregnancy resource center, you're committing fraud because you're saying you want to help women, but you don't provide abortion, so you're not really helping them. That was literally the logic that was behind the attacks that were taking place down there. So they were running a series of bills. So I go down there to watch the proceedings and support them. And I'm wearing the same sweatshirt I'm wearing right now, because at the time I was running the Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University, which is their public policy think tank. And I had encouraged the university to embrace the moniker Pro-Life U.
Yep. And so for the listeners, what does the shirt say? What does the
says
sweatshirt
Pro-Life
say?
U.
Yep.
Colorado Christian University.
Yeah,
and this was the prototype
yeah.
of a sweatshirt that they ended up selling at the bookstore.
Nice.
But I created this and I went on and I actually Googled Animal House Jim Belushi college sweatshirt font.
No way.
So
that's great.
This is the font of Jim Belushi, or not Belushi. Yeah, Belushi.
Yeah, Belushi. Yeah,
Belushi.
Jim Belushi. Yep.
Jim Belushi's sweatshirt that says college.
Oh,
on
that's
it.
great.
So I thought you might like that.
Nice job.
So I made this. I did the little custom sweatshirt, and I made the prototype, and I'd walk into the president's cabinet meetings, and I said, look, I created this sweatshirt. I think we should embrace being the most pro-life university in America, and let's sell it in the bookstore, which they do.
Oh,
and they actually trademarked this. So I go down to the state capitol, and we're in the proceedings and all that stuff. And then it goes time for the Senate to have a dialogue and discussion about this. So I walk up to the gallery of the Senate, and the gallery's up above high. And
above.
you look down below, and you're required to be quiet. Like, you can't disrupt. And I wasn't being disruptive at all. I was literally just going to watch.
Yeah, there and some lawmakers have learned that Elizabeth House. It's supposed to be quiet up there, but maybe not. Yeah, okay. Sorry, continue. Yeah.
So that's exactly right.
Yes.
So I go up there, and I said, and Billy, I must have sat down for 5 seconds.
Oh my God.
And a sergeant of arms comes over, and he points at me, and he gives me you need to come with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do?
Great. Yeah, what do I do now?
So I walk out, and he points to a sign, and he says, no political apparel in the gallery, to be worn in the gallery. And political apparel, first of all, is like crazy broad.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you mean by political apparel?
That, and you and I often have fun with defining terms. And what's the definition? How do you define political apparel? Because, as you know, I like to make the conversation difficult and rough. I could make a conversation that wearing anything with the American flag on it becomes political.
You know, my lawyers thought the same exact way.
Hey,
Billy.
look at that. Every once in a while.
And they pointed that out.
Go home now. Goodbye, everybody. That's it. That's the only good idea I have the entire morning. That's it. I'm out of here.
So he points to this, and I actually have video of it, which has helped make the case. So I pull out my camera, and I'm like, hold on. Explain to me what the problem is.
Good job. Very smart.
And he says, you're wearing a sweatshirt that has a political statement on it. And you're not allowed to wear that in the gallery of the Senate down at the Colorado State Capitol. And I'm like, well, hold on. This is a trademarked name of the university.
Yeah.
Like, from my perspective, I think I looked this up at one time. Metro was like, secure your future or something. Like,
exactly.
I imagine Metro University, secure your future.
Yeah, I think at the University of Kentucky, it's Duke sucks. I think that might be it. I may be wrong.
North Carolina,
I'm not sure. North Carolina, yeah.
And so I'm like challenging him on it. I'm like, this is like a trademarked name for the university.
Yeah.
Pro-Life U. This is not a political statement in sense of like, I'm not saying vote no on Senate Bill 2.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not up there with signs. I'm not disrupting. I'm wearing a sweatshirt of the name of my employer, but it reflects my values.
Yeah,
that was the important thing that my attorneys pointed out.
Yeah.
It's like you're making a political statement. Now, the reason that this all became a really big issue is because a few years ago at the U.S. Supreme Court, they overturned bans on political apparel at polling places.
Yeah.
Because, to your point, Billy, define political apparel.
Yep. It's incredibly subjective based on the individual, because it is very, very easy for us to say we could get someone like Jeff Hunt at a polling place, and he could look at a whole bunch of things people are wearing, go, you're perfectly fine, go right on in there. We bring squad member Ilhan Omar in there. She's going to object to a whole lot of things that Jeff's not going to, that she's going to see as political that probably aren't. That's the problem.
So if you wear, for instance, a rainbow shirt, is that political apparel?
Oh, that's a good question.
If you wear support the
Not
troops.
if it has LeVar Burton on it, no, because I could be reading Rainbow. But.
Right? But if you wear like support the troops shirt, is that political apparel? If I worked for Planned Parenthood and wore Planned Parenthood shirt, like I was wearing a Colorado Christian University shirt, is that political apparel? Because Planned Parenthood has lobbyists and they're down there speaking in on lots of different issues. So the sergeant of arms told me I either had to take off my sweatshirt or I had to leave the premises. And I refused to take off my sweatshirt. So I stood outside.
Yeah.
And so what my
just right there, as we're telling the story, this is the point in the story. Okay, our listeners, this is the divergent point in the story. You had those like twist a plot books and choose your own adventure type books when you were a kid. This is the point in the story where Jeff takes the right path and everything ends up fantastically. Where if Bill is standing there, this is where things go wrong. Because as soon as they tell me to take it off, that's when I start asking the cop if he's got music. Is he going to tip me? And I'm not wearing my proper G-string, and this is going to get awkward. And I am going to make a spectacle, and I'm going to end up in handcuffs, and I'm going to have to talk to people. This is where, in my world, everything goes bad, and I lose the argument. This is why you win, my friend. This is why you did it better than I. Okay?
And to your point, the facts of the case really do matter in this.
Yes, yes, they do. And I would have screwed it up.
We had it in video, and it was an awkward conversation. I'm not going to say like we were hanging out buddies, being like, it was like, really, you're telling me I can't be in because of this sweatshirt?
Yeah. So now the cop wants you to strip.
Yeah,
He's hitting on you. Right. At least that's a part of my story that I'm hitting here. Yeah, that's where I'm going.
So he brings up another sergeant of arms, the head of the sergeant of arms for the Colorado Senate, and he reaffirms the first sergeant of arms.
Yes, I do want to see this man naked. Sorry. I'm horrible.
And so I am just not allowed to be in there.
Oh,
I was prevented from watching essentially the people's work take place
People you're paying for.
I was wearing a sweatshirt. And so I tweet about this. I'm like, you'll never guess what just happened. I was kicked out, all that stuff. And Dan Kaplis.
Hey.
Dan Kaplis messages me and says, Jeff, this is a dead dog case.
Nice.
Which means a dead dog can win this case.
Yep.
You need to continue to pursue it. And at about the same time, FIRE, which is this free speech organization, and they do free speech work on college campuses all over. So, and they represent everybody.
Yeah.
So you could be PETA. Yeah. They'll represent you. You could be a little college Republican group at, I think one recently was a Clovis Community College, represented them. They are free speech purists.
Yeah.
That's all they do. So they contacted me on Twitter. They said, we heard about the case. Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
Which then set us on a long journey, because what matters in these cases is the fact pattern. Really does. Like, did you yell at the sergeant of arms? Are we going to, end up with video of you throwing stuff and all that stuff? No, it was a respectful conversation. I quietly left, all that stuff. And then they spent a year looking at the policies down at the state capitol and analyzing the fact pattern, looking at my background, all that stuff, and then deciding, we're going to take this case.
And looking at previous behavior too, because what else has been allowed in that gallery?
Yes.
What else have people
that
walked
was a
up there?
key part of this.
Yeah.
And it took 30 seconds to Google and see that Moms Demand Action, just right around the same time, we're all wearing sweatshirts and hanging out in the Senate gallery.
Oh, imagine that.
So part of the component of this, and Billy, to your point on this, you're picking it up, was not only was this a general free speech issue. Can the government tell you what you can wear or not wear based upon perceived political opinions at the state capitol? Do they have that? But the second part was fair and equal treatment of messages.
Yeah.
So did you have cases where you allowed people and then cases where you banned people? What was the reasoning? Did you have good reasoning? They didn't. That was part of the problem that the state Senate was put in. And so we sent a letter recently, probably in July. We sent the official letter. And the letter we sent to them, which I'll post online for you guys to see, was essentially change your rules or we will go all the way on this.
Yeah.
Which means we will sue you. And you're going to have to defend this and defend whether or not you treated everybody equal, or were there certain messages that you didn't allow. And then you're going to have to go before courts and courts and courts, and we will go all the way if we need to.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to do this was, Billy, there's an element you and I share of just kind of being classical liberals.
Absolutely.
Right. And classical liberals is, I believe in the fundamental principles of freedom.
Yes.
Even if I disagree with your message.
Yes.
I believe you have the right to be able to talk about it.
I will fervently defend your right to piss me off. 110% every day of the week. Absolutely. Yes. 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 Yes.
So that's the reason we did it. Is we're like, this is not right, and Fire, to their credit, took the lead on this. They are a great organization. I loved working with their attorneys, and I didn't have to do much other than be willing to. Jeff, are you willing to go as far as it takes on
Here's
this?
the thing. The hard work that you did was how you handled the situation. And that's the difference between you and me. I would have probably made this much more complicated and then be like, oh, this is going to get a little tough. You did exactly what you needed to up front on things like grabbing the video, remaining respectful, asking the right questions, and then just leaving, because that's not a fight to have that day.
That's right.
Don't have that fight there. This is something you can deal with later. Because of the hard work you did and the remarkable self-control. There are a lot of people, myself included, that would not act that way. So because of that, you were able to spike the football today on 710 KNUS.
It's a big deal. So
Huge,
yesterday we announced the attorneys contacted me and said that the state is changing their rules down at the Colorado State Capitol, both in the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
Where they will, and I guess apparently they've taken pictures that they've removed that sign.
Yeah.
And they will no longer enforce, the Sergeant of Arms will no longer enforce bans on political apparel. Now,
that's fantastic. Now, just a question.
Yes.
I want to know, is there any mechanism that we could fundraise and get a placard put there at the same place the sign was and say, you are allowed to wear political apparel in the gallery, and then at the end, Jeff Hunt, and then put the date.
That's right.
That's what we should do. We really
courtesy
should do.
of a fellow Colorado.
Yes, we should do that. We need to have that there.
That would be cool.
Yes.
So it required a permission and agreement from the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House, which, are progressives.
Yep.
And I probably disagree with them on just about everything, but they agreed to this, which was awesome. And to their credit, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate you doing this. So what does this mean? Can you wear a Speedo into the gallery? Probably not.
Oh, crap.
Sorry, Billy.
Darn. There goes my next time. Yeah,
you need to at least be properly dressed when you go there. Now, can you take signs and yell and disrupt the proceedings? Maybe like a certain Palestinian lawmaker, supporting lawmaker did recently.
Yes.
Elizabeth Epps. No, you cannot. You cannot be disrespectful. You cannot interrupt the work that's taking place there.
Yeah.
But you cannot be removed now simply because you are wearing an article of clothing that expresses a political message.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Congratulations. I still wonder about the idea. There in the gallery, you're way above. If the people in the well are looking up and looking at your shirts or your sweatshirts or even your hats and going, oh, that's I don't like that, and that's hurting my fifis. Shut up. You're not doing your job right. If you're paying attention to the stuff that people are wearing up there, I understand the signs, the yelling, and getting disruptive. Sure. What someone's wearing, get over it. Get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deal with it. That's part of what we embrace inside of our society is that ability to offend each other. That's okay.
Yep.
That's okay. It's not physical. It's just words. Again, sticks and stones. Come on.
That's exactly
stop being
right.
so offended by simple words.
Here are some comments that came from my attorneys there. Jeff should have been allowed to express his opinions in a non-disruptive manner, but the rule was overbroad and gave officials too much leeway to arbitrarily enforce the bans, said fire attorney Josh Bleish. Now that the ban is no more, Coloradans can wear a political shirt where politics happens.
Hey,
It's a great line.
That is.
As of Tuesday, the problematic language about political apparel has been scrubbed from the Colorado Capitol website and gallery signs. Raul Ruiz of Fire also said Colorado did the right thing. Other states should be on notice that bans on political expression will not be tolerated. The organization is the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. Fire, they're a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization dedicated to defending and sustaining the individual rights of all Americans to free speech and free thought, the most essential qualities of liberty. Fire educates Americans about the importance of these inalienable rights, promotes a culture of respect for these rights, and provides a means to preserve them. Their website is thefire.org. thefire.org. So here's where I just want to wrap on this real quick.
Yeah.
And we'll get to calls and text messages. And thanks so much for all the compliments. I really appreciate it. Billy, this started for me when I was this type of political engagement started with me on curfew.
Yes,
when I got
you were a
popped
kid.
for a curfew law. And it just didn't make sense to me that a kid, simply because he was under the age of 18, right? And I think I was like 13 at the time, riding my bike from my friend's house home after like 10 o'clock. So it was like 10:30 or 11 o'clock. And this was Cherry Hills, right?
Yeah,
It's about
exactly.
as safe as it gets. So I'm just riding home and I get popped.
And you were obviously a danger
Right,
to
right.
the community at that point, yes.
And it didn't make sense to me that in the land of the free, you were restricted from movement and being out in public spaces simply because of your age at a certain point. And so I got my little pocket constitution. Actually, there's a constitution in the back of my textbook, and went to the Cherry Hills City Council and I argued for it. And to their credit, they listened to me.
Wow.
And like talked about it. Now they didn't change anything, but but they didn't be like, ha ha, kid, get out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
They sat there and actually listened. And I've always appreciated that. And so right now you've got a kid somewhere in some school or just some season of life that doesn't like something that's happened to them. Like there's just something that doesn't sit right with them. They're like, this is whether it's maybe you want to start a club at school, and the school's like, no, we don't do political clubs or something like that. Or you want to start a Turning Point club, or you wanted to put up a poster and you're being restricted. Just follow the process. Don't be disruptive. Follow the rules, but get some friends and start to look at it and ask questions. And Billy, I think you probably did this a lot as a kid too. It's why I appreciate you so much, is that you just ask questions, challenge, push back when you need to.
Yeah, I got
don't be
thrown out of
afraid to
those
do
classes
that.
for that. I did. Yeah, in fact, at CCU, I was asked to not return to class for a few days because of some things that we had another day. But this is the great part, is that I can think of, I think it's between, I'd have to go back and look, 5 to 7 dress code rules they changed because of me in high school because of that. And Jeff went out there and did the big fight and made them change the rule on a state level. And the best part, again, if you're sitting there and you're in class or you're dealing with something where you feel like your individual freedom, your access to your speech, especially in a public venue, is being restricted, this is a wonderful example. It's not about going out and causing disruptions. We saw a video earlier on some of the TV shows about Palestinian protesters and pro-Hamas protesters disrupting a rally for Harris at an event. They came in and they were loud and they were noisy and they stopped things. And do you think they're going to change hearts and minds? Do you think their behavior, yes, they have the free speech, not necessarily to break in, but they can say that. But are they changing minds? Are they affecting the change they want? No. But what did Jeff do? Jeff was respectful, talked to the officer. He followed the rules at that moment, but understood they were incorrect, and then went and started asking questions. That's the adult behavior. And he's going to go out to DNC. He's going to be in Chicago next week, and he's going to see a whole bunch of adults acting like kids. And Jeff's going to respect their free speech and what they have the ability to do, but he's not going to respect them infringing on individual rights. If Jeff would have gotten up and thrown chairs and started being angry and things like that, that's an entirely different case because of his response and the danger that he created. And they would say, well, he obviously created a danger inside the gallery. He didn't. He was respectful, talked to the officer. And again, if you are in this type of situation, grab that cell phone just like he did. The video is going to be your best ally. And he was respectful, listened to the rule, said, okay, that's the rule today. Now let's go change it. That's why this guy's special.
Well, I appreciate that, Billy. And thank you again to Fire, their great partnership. Brilliant, brilliant. The letter that they sent, which I'll post so you can see it, to the state capitol, had tremendous amount of case law and made those types of arguments to defend our rights. And bottom line, you're more free today in the state of Colorado to do what you want down at the state capitol, to represent your values and not have to leave just because you're wearing an apparel that reflects your political values.
What other talk show in Denver, what other radio show in Denver has expanded your constitutional rights in the previous 12 months, previous 3 years? Who's done that? See, that's why we're different.
710 KNUS. We're going to take the fight.
Yes.
More than just radio. Natalie, we're going to get to you in just a second. I want to talk to you all about QC Kinetics and my friends making a difference over there in removing arthritis pain and joint pain. Pain from arthritis is just awful. It's bone on bone, constant pain. It robs you of so much of what you love to do. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain. And I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. Listen, there are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go, QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. If you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills are no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. This is the future of medicine. For a free consultation, call 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986 with locations in Aurora, Superior, Colorado Springs, and Highlands Ranch. You can also visit them online at qckinetics.com. That's qckinetics.com. Artists texting in. I'd love to see the reaction of our founding fathers to see where America is today. I think they may be a little surprised. I think they would be as well. But the fight continues for those fundamental rights. All right, we'll continue. Natalie, you'll be up next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show, 7:39 on this Thursday, August 15th, celebrating victory, spiking the football a little bit for all you Coloradans out there. This coming from the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. Good friends of mine that came to my defense down at the Colorado State Capitol when I was politely escorted out for wearing a sweatshirt.
You were kicked out of the gallery. You were causing trouble with that sweatshirt. You were kicked out. And again, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. Because of Jeff Hunt, you, our listeners, have more constitutional rights here in Colorado than you had last week. Yeah, that's what we can do on this radio show, and that's why you listen.
Fire threatened a lawsuit down at the Colorado State Capitol after I was kicked out for wearing the sweatshirt and said your rules on political apparel are one, crazy broad. Define it. If someone wears a rainbow shirt, is that political apparel? How about an American flag or support the troops or that? So you can't define it. And there's plenty of evidence that you allow some in with political apparel and others. So let's go to court and defend that.
Yes.
They looked at that fact pattern and said, speaking of the Constitution, I think we'll just allow people to wear what they want. So
wouldn't you have loved to have been a fly on the wall with the legislative representatives and the legal team?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that would have been a really short meeting. The legal team's like, stop. This is no.
They're going to pour through video footage. They're going to, and you don't need a lot. You just need a handful of examples of people wearing political apparel that you didn't kick out. And do we want to do this and spend the money and the energy? And I did talk to the attorneys yesterday, and they said, there are a lot of organizations that are just really stupid and keep fighting this and keep fighting it and keep fighting. One example was a college that specifically, this was a community college, specifically prevented conservative students from putting posters up.
Oh, jeez. Oh my
and they fought it all the way to the Ninth Circuit. Really?
Okay, this is what I got to ask you. In that community college, there isn't a civics or government teacher, not a single one. I mean, they didn't, whoever is in charge on the legal team didn't go, can we get Mr. Smith down here? And just, I know he's going to be off. He's doing some stuff there when he gets out of class at 10. Can he come in here and talk to us about what free speech is and rights? And is this okay? I mean, they didn't have anybody on the staff. Nobody on the staff had any idea. That's great. They're teaching people.
So to their credit, the president of the Senate, I believe that's Steve Feinberg, and the Speaker of the House agreed to change the rules. The rules are officially changed. So with this upcoming session, you will have the freedom to express yourself from the gallery and down there the state capitol. Let's go to the phone lines. Natalie, you've been very patient. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Jeff, I want to compliment you and thank you for your efforts on this. I really appreciate it. I think this is a really big thing, actually. Freedom of speech. I'm sure you do too.
Well, Natalie, I really appreciate that. And I know you're an activist. I can tell. I recognize your voice. You are doing such great work in Jefferson County, in Lakewood, in Denver, down at the state capitol as well. So thank you for your commitment to making Colorado a better place.
Sure. I experienced this last, and you're welcome. Thank you for the compliment. I experienced this last Monday when I went to the Property Tax Commission meeting at the Capitol, and in my backpack, I happened to have campaign promotional piece, a hand fan I was going to give to a couple friends that work at the Capitol. I wasn't going to use them in the meeting. I wasn't even going to bring them out. I was going up to the second floor offices, give them to somebody. And those two fans I was bringing in got confiscated because they simply said I was running for a race. I can give another thing, like at libraries, we commonly have polling locations.
Yep.
In last year's election, we had the library remove all of our literature from the table where they allow political material, and they removed all of it. So it wasn't one side or the other. But we were like, first of all, we're 100 feet away. You put out this table for us for literature, and then you take it. Well, they reversed their course, put the literature back, because our argument was, how can you ban political speech in a library because it's by polling location, when you have newspapers and all sorts of things with political speech.
Yeah.
And I
That's a
give
great
more
question.
examples. So this whole First Amendment thing is really big, and I'm really glad to know that next time I go to the Capitol, my bag won't be searched for free speech material, I hope, because of what you did. So thank you so much.
Well, Natalie, that means a lot to me. And look, FIRE is a great organization, whether you're progressive, conservative, independent. They came to my rescue because I'm not an attorney, and I just couldn't have navigated all this other than just make a little bit of stink on Twitter about it. And Dan Kaplis encouraged me to find an attorney to work with. Looked at a number of different firms, but I wanted the free speech purists. I wanted those that were, it kind of meant something to me that they were willing to defend PETA, even though I obviously disagree with their worldview, but I'm kind of that mindset, and there may be a little bit of chaos around this, or people going to maybe wear some stuff that's inappropriate. Probably. We'll deal with it. But I just want to live in a country. I want to live in a state that errs on the side of freedom and isn't just randomly escorting people out simply because you have these kind of arbitrary rules. So, Natalie, I really appreciate the call. Thank you for the good work you do, and I look forward to working with you some more. That's great to hear from her. I want to talk to you about my good friend, Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. Look, if you're considering selling your home, go with the team that's going to not only give you top-level service, but will help you earn more from the sale of your home than any other agent. Gay Ribble has proven to get more for sellers because they have ready buyers looking for a home in your area. They don't just make this claim. They can sit down and actually show you their list of over 14,700 buyers. This will give you an immediate advantage. Sure, you can hire any agent to sell your home, but isn't it all about how much you're going to put in your pocket after closing? The Empower Home team specializes in making sure you make the most amount of money. Guaranteed. They will sell your home at your price, or Gay will buy it. Isn't that amazing? Reach out to my friends and realtors, Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team of Keller Williams. Call 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD. Or go to gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
tonight we got the Taste of Douglas County, Billy. It's so hard, our jobs. We're going to have to eat food, and I don't know if they're going to have some drinks there, but the people will be there.
Yes.
So 710 KNUS with Mike Boyles is going to have a whole big presence at the Taste of Douglas County.
Yeah.
So you can come by and hang out with Billy and I. I'll bring the sweatshirt. You could put it on, take a picture with it. Sweatshirt that changed the history of Colorado.
Yes, the one. You don't have to go to the CCU bookstore and get the knockoff. You can sit there and get a picture wearing the sweatshirt that changed history in Colorado. The sweatshirt that gives you more freedom of speech today than you had last week because of the fight that Jeff Hunt went through. History. You. A picture with Jeff. I don't have to be in it. I understand. It's okay. I'll take the picture.
Me, and modeled after John Belushi.
Yes. It is a beautiful sweatshirt. Come down, hang out with us. Everything kicks off at 5. We will be at the KNUS booth hanging out with Mike Boyle. He'll be wandering around doing the stuff that he does because he's a fantastic dude. But the other part is you get a chance to take a picture with history. You can wear the sweatshirt that changed the rules at our state capitol. Yes, this is that moment as an adult where you're shaving your head and you're getting a mohawk. Yes, we're taking it to the man. And come on out and see us at Taste of Douglas County. We're at the Douglas County Fairgrounds. Everything runs 5 to 7. Also, $10. We buy the tickets ahead of time, $20 at the door. And lots of food, delicious food. You get to sample a bunch of wonderful restaurants around there. And if anybody is serving alcoholic beverages, Jeff and I will know exactly where they are and we'll tell you where they are. We'll give you directions.
Join us today, 5 to 8.
Yeah,
and is that the Douglas County Fairgrounds?
Yep, Douglas County Fairgrounds. Yeah,
that's great.
500 Fairground Drive, I believe. You can throw that in the Google machine.
All right, Billy.
Yeah.
I'm going to pivot. And this is where I'm just going to
I don't think I've stretched enough.
lose my mind over
fun.
this.
Yeah. Yes.
$155 million spent addressing homelessness in the state of Colorado.
So we've solved
and
it?
Guess what happened?
We solved it. We solved the problem. Everything's better. No.
Headline out of the Denver Post: homelessness grew in Denver.
So we spent $150 million to get more.
Do you know
homeless.
how much that is per
hell?
person? I did the math on this. It's $140,000.
What?
Per person.
What?
That we have housed. You know, these 1,600 people or whatever.
Yeah.
It's about 140,000.
Not like our listeners could use $140K. That wouldn't have helped them afford a house. No, that wouldn't have helped them with their bills.
140,000.
We can
only
reduce costs for other stuff and
about a quarter have gotten out of homelessness.
Winning.
Well,
we judge
I
this?
went and looked
Oh,
at this.
man.
What's the success rate of the Denver Rescue Mission in getting people into housing?
Ooh, good question. Ooh, we have to talk about that.
We're definitely going to get into the next hour.
Oh,
so
my
the city of Denver spending all this money, going after to help people experiencing homelessness, and it's gone up. So is this the result of good policies? So they're actually serving the homeless and the word's getting out and people are like, I'm into Denver.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That seems to be like a good place to be if you're going to be homeless.
Yeah. Give me
Probably
stuff
different
on
than
it.
Omaha.
Yeah.
So is that the result of it? Or is this just a total another debacle put together by progressives down in the city of Denver that has just resulted in a huge waste of money? I mean, they're going to ask to put a sales tax on everything because they need another $100 million because they're running out of money to do their basic services. Is Mike Johnston a failure? Or is this actually an indication of success? We're going to get to this and more in the next hour. You're definitely not going to want to miss this conversation because I'm going to get really fired up on it, Billy. Because I care about homelessness. I actually think we could help folks, but not this way. All right, you're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. How much do you care about the homeless? Looks like the Dems care a lot. Maybe.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, August 15th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Hey, you woke up in America. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history. Let's get after it. And we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, a critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Headline coming from the Denver Post yesterday: homelessness grew in Denver.
Wait, what? That's not supposed to happen. I thought we had a plan. I thought there was a man that stood out there and he told us he was going to put the people in the houses, and that's why we had the money, and we closed it didn't work. It didn't. We didn't care enough. We didn't care hard enough. Was it hugs that we were missing? What was it? I'm so
Bill,
confused.
you and I are old enough to remember when Johnny Hickenlooper was going to solve homelessness in a decade.
Yes, the road home. Yeah, that somehow we got lost.
Do people get away with this?
Yeah. How?
As elected officials, is it? And I know the answer. The answer is we just don't pay close enough attention. But my goodness, this is why, and this goes back to our question last week, Billy.
Yes, it does.
I just want a politician that's going to show up and actually solve something they can solve.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to clean the Platte River.
Yeah, I'm going to do this. Yep, I will do this for you.
I bet you could do it for $155 million, Bill.
Yeah, I bet you could. I bet you could. Yes.
I bet that thing would look clean and people would be floating in it and having a great summer.
Yeah, people would be going, wait, are you in Hawaii? That's beautiful water.
I just want to solve little things that would actually make people's lives better. $155 million spent to deal with homelessness, and the headline from the Denver Post: homelessness grew in Denver, new count shows, but more people are sleeping inside under Mike Johnston's new initiative. So this is what we're going to cover in the hour, and I've got a lot to say about it because this article from the Denver Post is just amazing. Okay, let's just first start with the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Hey, thanks a lot for what you did, and I love that sweatshirt and that font. That font style, man, that is sweet.
John Belushi, there's a whole lot there. College.
That's good.
Wasn't
stuff,
Animal House
man.
a fun movie?
That was a great movie. It was so awesome. They don't make movies like that.
No, they
anymore.
don't.
All right, 63 and sunny, expecting a high of 88 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs to supply chain issues. We have the worst supply chain we've ever had in the history of the country.
Former President Trump in North Carolina Wednesday making a few adjustments to his speech and hitting the nail on the head.
Kamala Harris wants to be in charge of the entire U.S. economy, but neither she nor her running mate is the beauty, isn't he? He signed a bill. He wants tampons in boys' bathrooms. I don't think so. Tampons. But they've never held a private sector job in their entire professional careers. And it's no wonder they're both socialists. They're actually beyond socialists. I think they skipped over socialists. That's why I think when people find out, because you don't know who these people are, I think when people find out who they are, I personally don't think they can do well in the election. They've destroyed this country. What they've done, when you look at San Francisco, what happened to, and she was the one that started it.
Google blames a glitch for how the Harris campaign was able to trick internet users into thinking reputable news sites were giving Kamala Khan favorable reporting.
No, it's not a glitch.
Yes.
Come on.
That's what they say.
That's what they say every time.
Yes.
We try to Google Donald Trump and all of a sudden Kamala Harris's,
Right.
all these great articles come up. It's a glitch. Try to find out information about Donald Trump's assassination. Oh, there's no information. It's
Nothing.
a glitch. Oh, we're running all these ads where we've manipulated headlines from places like the Associated Press to make them look like they're promoting Kamala Harris. Oh, that's just a glitch. It's not a glitch.
No.
It's not. It's a load of baloney.
Yeah, and then it's too late. I mean, all of a sudden you turn around and it's freaking September.
Yes.
And October, and then early voting. I mean, man, YouTube, Google, all these clowns, man. All these clowns that cry after a Republican is elected, and there's 99.9%. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Well, speaking of that quote unquote glitch, here they talk about here on Fox News Channel.
But then they have a description under the headline. So you know how there's a headline when you read a news story, then there's like an under headline that you read in the news story. But it says this: VP Harris is a champion for reproductive freedom and will stop Trump's abortion bans. So the second line in what looks like a news story is actually a campaign slogan, a campaign statement.
You know, I was thinking about this morning. Political podcaster and influencer Dave Rubin, he totally goes off the grid in August. He doesn't watch or listen to anything in politics or pop culture, no electronics, totally off the information grid. What's amazing, when he returned September 1st, Kamala Khan may have gone the entire month avoiding reporters and answering questions. He will have missed nothing. It's day 25. Harris is planning to propose a federal ban on corporate price gouging in food and groceries. They created all this. She'll unveil her economic policy platform tomorrow.
When Kamala lays out her fake economic plan this week, probably will be a copy of my plan, because basically that's what she does. Just remember, she goes to work every morning in the West Wing. Her desk is 10 steps from the Oval Office. She cast the tie-breaking votes that gave us record inflation, and for nearly 4 years, Kamala has crackled as the American economy has burned.
Crackled and cackled.
Colorado's best days are still ahead.
Governor Polis expected to call a special session today. Yes, they are, aren't they, Jeff? Dealing with property taxes. Lawmakers could remove 2 property tax initiatives from the November ballot. Prop 50 would cap annual property tax revenue growth at 4%, while Prop 108 would reduce Colorado's property tax rate. Some lawmakers are concerned that if the measures passed, the state would have to cover a large expense or large expenses for local government. Everyone is okay after a school bus burst into flames in Aurora on Wednesday. It happened near East 11th and North Piccadilly Road, and the bus completely engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived at the scene. All 14 children on board made it off the bus safely, thanks to their bus driver. The driver saved lives by jumping into action and getting all the kids off the bus as quickly as possible. Almost everyone getting back to school today. My kids are going back today. The Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 11-4. Padres in town tonight at 6:40. The founder of famous Amos Cookies has died. Wally Amos was 88. 58 in Castle Rock, 61 in Arvada, and 63 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. It's Thursday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Sunshine for much of the day across the Denver metro with added cloud cover late this afternoon and early tonight. Still going to run the slight chance for some showers and thunder towards evening. Highs today will be in the mid-80s, clearing tonight, low 60s. Sunny, warmer Friday and this weekend. Low to mid-90s for highs and lows, lower 60s. Dry Friday and Saturday, showers and thunder on Sunday. Weather brought to you by branchplanning.com. Secure your future retirement with a reliable income stream. Annuities provide guaranteed payments, giving you peace of mind. Get your review at branchplanning.com or call 720-651-9800. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, so this is classic, Billy. So the headline yesterday is homelessness grew in Denver. New count shows. Okay, so homeless grew in Metro Denver in the region's annual point in time count released Wednesday. And then Mike Johnston comes out with a press release. And I can only imagine because I've worked in political offices.
Yes.
Because this is his legacy, man. This is the big thing. Like out of that, I would say that and illegal immigrants are the big things that he's going to be remembered for.
That was the big thing that he said during the campaign, that he was going to have a plan and we were going to transition people into out of homelessness into housing, and they were going to become productive citizens in the community. And that was what we were sold. Yeah. And he said he had a plan.
Good thing.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
And he said then, oh, wait, it's going to cost more. Oh, sorry, it's going to cost more. Wait. It's going to cost even more. So how do we do since we spent all that money? How do we do with this?
So not great, but he runs out with this headline, and the headline is not wrong. It's just classic political effort to rebuff bad news. Okay. So it's like finding some element of positivity in it and leading with that headline. So Mayor Johnston.
It's like after the Titanic. Well, not everybody drowned.
Right, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly the headline they did. That's the press conference. No, they're not all dead.
Yes. Mayor Johnston delivers largest reduction in unsheltered homelessness on record, which is a little confusing. And it's largest reduction in unsheltered homelessness on record. All in Mile High, which is his little organization, results in 83% reduction in unsheltered family homelessness, 23% reduction in tent and vehicular homelessness in just 6 months. So what is all happening here? Okay, so we have a homeless problem in Colorado. Let's start with that. Particularly in cities like Denver. And they've got to figure out what to do with them, because under the previous mayor, they just let them camp out. And nobody went downtown anymore. I mean, Civic Center Park, if you remember, was rat infested because of these homeless encampments that were taking place there. So Mike Johnston has essentially come up with a plan. It's called the All In Mile High plan. And it essentially puts people in homes, government funded homes. And you end up with social workers that try to help you get into what's called permanent housing. Okay, that's the goal, is they're trying to get to permanent housing for these folks. And by some metrics, it's working. They've got, out of about 1,600, 583 people have moved into permanent housing. So you're looking at, what is that, about a third? About a third of people into permanent housing. Now, I studied this in grad school because I care about the homeless. It's part of being a Christian, right? Is if you're a follower of Jesus, you need to care about the homeless. It's just comes with the faith. So I studied this, volunteered down at the at a homeless shelter in Los Angeles called Path, which, I mean, this thing was amazing. You could walk in and get a new suit, or a new suit for you, but a suit to go to do interviews in that was a hand-me-down suit. You could get a haircut. You could use computers there. You could get a food there. They provided everything for you to get off your feet. Because, Billy, this is where we went with homelessness, okay? There's been a transition over time. If it was 1950s and 60s, it was called a hot and a cot. It was a hot shower, hot meal, and a place to sleep, because it was seen as very temporary. Like you lost your job.
Yep, exactly.
So we're going to provide temporary, kind of like what the Denver Rescue Mission is.
Yep, exactly.
But
and Step Denver.
Step Denver. Over time, we've gone into a place of providing more and more and more and more services. And then when you combine that with the fact that we closed down a lot of mental institutions in the 80s and 90s, you're now dealing with a big mental health problem on the streets, drug addiction on the streets. If you remember, Mike Kaufman went and spent time living as a homeless person. He came back and saying, we're essentially all drug addicted. And we have these big mental health problems.
And he also said that some of the biggest reason that these people that were either drug addicted or had mental illnesses were staying on the street is because of our kindness, because we were supporting
giving them too much.
We'd give them all the money. We'd show up and give them food in the morning, give food at the night. I mean, Mayor Kaufman said he ate better on the street than he did inside the shelters.
Wow.
That's scary. The fact that, what's the motivation? What could possibly be the motivation for someone to get off the street if I'm going to have people deliver better food to me? I can keep doing the drugs. I can keep drinking as much as I want, and I don't have to fix the head. Yep. Why would I ever make the choice to go to the shelter?
And now you have government coming in and providing that housing for you. So now you've got a place to live. So let's get to the total numbers here. We got to find this. Homeless Initiative and Partners counted 9,977 people either staying in different types of shelter or living unsheltered in cars, tents, or places considered not fit for human habitation. What that means is that when you're trying to measure the homeless, it's hard to measure people that don't live somewhere, right? And they're constantly moving. So they do these count nights, and they do them about every 6 months. And they come in and they say, all right, this is the night we're all going to go out and we're going to count as many people as we can. That's going to be the number we use for the homeless. Okay, so they go out there and count everybody last night. In the city of Denver, they found 6,539,000 people. Okay, 6,539,000 people. Am I saying that right? 6,539. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's the amount of people that they found living on the street in the count that took place recently. Now, Mike Johnston has housed about 1,600 people. Okay, so this is what I want to kind of judge him on. Okay, he's 6,539. He's got 1,600 indoors from unsheltered homelessness. So those are people that are not living in tents. Out of that 1,600, 583 people have moved into permanent housing. Okay, but Bill, when it comes to actually solving homelessness, this is, from my perspective, a Band-Aid on a gushing wound that isn't actually going to solve it.
No.
Okay, because when you want to get to the root problem, you've got to go so far upstream in somebody's life to try to fix things that just kind of temporary housing isn't going to achieve it. And I'll explain why.
Yeah, please.
Bill, you and I have what's called high social capital. We may not be wealthy men.
Yeah. No, not at all.
We don't have top hats and canes and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I need a monocle.
But I would say you and I are very rich when it comes to social capital.
Yeah.
Which means if I faced a problem, if I lost my job here, you lost your job, we faced financial hardship, and it got so bad, Bill, that we had to move out of our house.
Yeah.
I could probably count 100 people.
Yeah.
That would go, we got a basement, Hunt family, you can stay there until you figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. So most people have deep social networks, whether it's friendships, family, networks, coworkers that they've worked with before, that will come to their aid. When somebody gets to a point where they're living in a tent, they have burned through so much social capital that nobody will take them in, or they don't want to live with other people, right? They're choosing that lifestyle. So you're dealing with big social problems, personality problems, drug addiction, right? Like you reach a point where you have a family member that's so drug addicted, they're stealing from you constantly, all that stuff. You're not going to let them live with you, right? You got to get them out of the house. They're a danger.
Here's an excellent example. Friend of the show, Vincent Turnbull at Step Denver, the guy that manages the vehicle donations and stuff like that. Been on the show a couple of times. Vincent tells the story of when he had that moment of hitting rock bottom. He's like, I got to fix this. I'm not doing this homeless thing and getting on the streets and getting the drugs and doing what I have to do that every single day. He said, that's it. I'm done. He went to his mom's house and said, hi, Mom, I'm done doing this. I'm going to get help. His sister was in the other room calling the police because of the social capital that he had already burnt through with the family. Yep. They were worried. He'd already stolen things. He'd already done things that hurt the relationship. He wasn't, they couldn't in good conscience bring him into the house and take care of him. He needed help. So while he was there, and he said this is the most amazing thing, is while he's there telling Mom, yes, I'm going to get help, they had him arrested.
Calling the police.
They had him arrested.
Yeah.
And he got out and he did. And he went to Step Denver, and he is now an incredible individual and a human. But that's an example. he had gone so far and burnt the social capital that even when he's there on mom's doorstep saying, I am going to do this, they still called the police because of what he'd done in the past.
Yep.
That's exactly what you're talking
So
about.
what you're dealing with is a soul problem. It's a soul problem. You're not going to fix this by just giving them temporary housing. Is it nice that they're off the streets? Absolutely.
Yes.
And we have emergency shelters like that all over the city, especially bad weather. I do not want people freezing to death in the street. And I'm glad that we have those types of services. But $155 million system, and I redid my math on this, it's about 90,000. Spending about 90,000 per person to give them temporary housing with the effort that somehow they're going to move into permanent housing. You got to address the soul issue.
Yeah.
And you often have years of these problems, right? This is why the faith component that Step Denver brings in, Denver Rescue Mission brings in, Catholic Charities brings in, to address those, to go up to it. Years upstream to try to work on that stuff so you can build friendships again. You can get a steady job. You can show up on time. You can start to build that foundation again to do a successful life. Is not going to come from $155 million temporary housing initiative. It's going to come from people of goodwill and faith spending time to work on soul issues to fix that.
There's so much inside of that I think you've gotten spot on, because if you're one of the 583 people that have transitioned into permanent housing, you still, while you're going to be grateful of where you are and that you're off the street, because obviously they've gone through the program to get there, but there's still going to be questions about whether or not you deserve it. There's still going to be questions because you burnt that social capital because you were on the streets in the first place. That is this something, again, that is just temporary? I don't have a connection to the community. The reason that I got partly into the situation was because of a lack of that type of support in my life. So there's going to be a lot of questions about, do I deserve this? And can I get out of this into even more permanent housing to let somebody else take my slot? Because again, it's a risk. And I was at the bottom. And taking those steps out, you have to have people that find value in you. That's what Step Denver does. That's what Denver Rescue Mission does. They show you the value in the person. That's why there are meetings daily at Step Denver, twice a day, not only for addiction recovery, but again, about fixing the soul. You're right.
And I'm afraid that what's happening with Denver is they're to achieve a political victory, to look good. They're pushing people into these houses that's paid for by the city of Denver, not actually solving the problem long term. They solved one problem. They got them off the streets. But long term, and the reason I bring this up, Do Better Denver, which you've got to follow, posted this the other day. The city of Denver just awarded a $5 million contract to Housing Connector to place people from camps directly into apartment leases. Neighbors suspect that the city of Denver is placing people from camps directly into apartment leases in this building. There are many as well, as there has been a lot of homelessness and drug loitering, trash and chaos since a homeless man had moved into the apartment complex. So the $5 million to just push people into leases into these apartment complexes, not actually solving the problem. Now, the reason I bring up the data on this, so we're looking at about 583 people that moved into permanent housing out of 1,600. So you're looking at about a third. Okay. So I went over and looked at the Denver Rescue Mission. What's the 1-year success rate in housing for the Denver Rescue Mission? So if you walk into the Denver Rescue Mission and you get into their program, you're looking at about 30% success rate with the city of Denver. Denver Rescue Mission on their website, 86%.
Wait, what?
Success rate, getting you into permanent housing.
And that's the success rate that Step Denver also sees, right? And that getting people off addiction and out the streets and everything else and getting into a functional job. That's interesting. Now, this is a wonderful window into the government idea of solutions. Especially in my mind, the Democrat window into solutions, because here It's just about, I would say, the scoreboard. It's not about fixing the team. It's just about being able to point to the scoreboard. How many people have we done this to? Well, of those 583 people that have gotten permanent housing, what's the transitionary process? How many of them are gainfully employed enough to get them out of that situation into other housing? We don't want to move them right into Section 8 because that, again, feels somewhat defeating. It's not feeding the soul. And it's not going to be the social connections they need. And also, we have this company that's going to be paid $5 million to write leases for these people. Now, that means you and I, the taxpayer, are on the hook for that funding. But more importantly, according to what we're reading, that homeless person isn't. And there is that idea of having some skin in the game. I'm not talking about them having to pay their way 100%, but there's something that makes you feel better about the basic earning of money and then the spending to keep yourself fed, safe. I've got a daughter that is just starting her first job out of high school today. She's going to be working in a school district. She's going to be a paraprofessional at an elementary school. Now, she is so looking forward to the idea of, hey, what she's telling us about the fact that now that I've had this money, I don't have to come and ask you, hey, can I get this for my nails? Can I go do this? That she is going to become more self-sufficient.
Right.
And when you talk about feeding the soul, that's feeding the soul. The idea that you have the ability to go out there and provide for yourself. And if we give these people in these situations just a little bit of that, I'm not talking about having them pay all their rent. I'm happy to subsidize part of it. I know it's difficult and painful, but to help them feel those steps forward to gain that. Look, when I do the work, I get the result on the other end. You can't teach the kids in class to get an A when you just give them an A without giving them the homework and the tests. You can't do it. And I don't see the homework and I don't see the test happening in Denver. All we're doing is handing out damn participation medals and saying, you're trying so hard. Nice job. Next. That's it.
You're
6,500 people on the streets, and we've gotten 500 plus, almost 6, into permanent housing. That's a failure. If you're working a factory line, you produce 6,500 of something, and 600 of those things are good, you suck. You suck. You can't make a thing. You're a chef. You're a chef in that restaurant, and you're putting food out. 6,500 dishes, and only 600 of them come back, and all the rest of them, 600 of them are eaten. The rest of them come back to you. They're rejected. You didn't do a good enough job. You suck. Get out. Do something else. So this is an awful track record.
I appreciate the passion. You're right on it. And now the solution that the Denver Post gets to, and Mike Johnston, is we need affordable housing. And the reason and the way we get to affordable housing,
more free stuff,
is through a tax. That is the $100 million tax they want. So the article finishes this way with the idea that you're going to pay $100 million tax. But here's what Mike Johnston cannot say as a mayor, right? Chief executive of the city of Denver. He cannot say there are fewer homeless and that the citizens of the city of Denver have more money in their pockets. He cannot say that. In fact, he has to say the exact opposite of it, which is that there are more homeless. And in order to address the fact that we have more homeless, we need to raise taxes so you, the residents of Denver, have less money in your wallet. Mike Johnson, I'm going to say this again, because if you're the leader of a city and you cannot say that as a result of my work, there are fewer homeless and more money in the pockets of my citizens, you have to say the exact opposite.
Yeah.
That there is more homeless and there is fewer dollars in the pockets of the citizens of Denver as a result of my leadership of the city of Denver. If that's where we are, in spite of all the little headlines you put out, Mayor, you need to do some soul searching and figure it out.
Amen. The thing that I've got is the idea that Mike Johnston says, well, solution here is we need affordable housing. Really? You just figured that out? Where the hell have you been in the last 10 years? Where were you the last year? Affordable. Thank you so much, genius. It's like the kid in the back of the class all of a sudden wakes up halfway through the lecture and goes, hey, and raises his hand. How about affordable housing? And we covered that, genius. Go back to sleep. Shut up. Really. Affordable that great. A star for you. Put a gold star on your chest today because you figured out it's affordable housing like the rest of us haven't been struggling with that. The rest of us haven't been worried about how we're going to pay rent. Welcome to the party. It'd be nice to live in your world where you don't have to worry about rent for a while, where your bills aren't worrisome, where if you need more money for your programs, you just take more out of my pocket, Jeff's pocket, and our listeners' pocket. That would be nice. I'd love to have that solution, but no. And then when you do have a solution, you end up with more of the stuff you were trying to fix. As a car mechanic, you would suck. I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about your performance. This performance is an F. How dare you spend $100 million plus and tell us you're going to get people off the street and you got 500 plus, probably 600. I'll give you 600. You got 600 after all this and we have more people on the street. Your program sucks. I may get along with you as a person. I don't know you as a person. I'm not judging you as a person. I'm judging your leadership. I'm judging your program. I'm judging how you spend our money. You suck.
Billy, you are fired up today.
Well, mad. A little too much coffee.
Feel free to give us a call. What do you think of this plan? What do you do with the homeless? What would your plan be? I'll tell you what my plan is when we come back, but I want to tell you first about Advanced Hair Restoration. You know the Jeff and Bill Show, top-rated talk radio show by Westward Magazine. Advanced Hair Restoration is the top hair restoration company by Westward as well. Everyone always asks, what makes Advanced Hair Restoration different? Allow me to share along with some details and get this on their once-a-year summer savings event. First off, Advanced Hair stands by the results, and their before and afters are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair is guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge quality experience that's hard to find elsewhere. And lastly, Advanced Hair's Advanced FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. It's quick, it's simple, and it's easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for that special savings opportunity, it's here. Advanced Hair Summer Savings Event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details and to schedule your free consultation, call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. One-day treatment, life-changing results. Your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Before and afters can be seen at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. We'll continue with your calls and texts. Headline coming out of the Denver Post yesterday. Homelessness grew in Denver this last year. But Mayor Mike Johnston saying we've gotten more out of the street and into temporary housing and at least 600 into permanent housing. But is it worth the $155 million being spent on this? What is your solution to deal with the homelessness in the state of Colorado? I'll tell you mine next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Someone look at Mayor Johnson. He's asleep in the back of the class.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So, look, I want to like Mikey. So I really want to like Mikey Johnston.
Find a happy place, find a happy place. He's like,
I really do.
Deep breath, yes.
So, and I watched his State of the City video, which I watched his speech, which was about 2 weeks ago. And then he did a video, and the guy wants to be the governor and then senator. Like, we're on the John Hickenlooper pathway. Okay. John never solved homelessness. He tried to, he never did. Mike Johnston is doing a much better job from my perspective than the previous mayor, but he's also not solving it. This is very temporary. So I said, and I'm going to get to the calls here. Mike, you're going to be up here in a second. How do you address homelessness? So as I mentioned before, Bill, you got to go way upstream in one factor. Okay, there's a lot of different things we need to absolutely make sure that nobody dies frozen on a street.
Yeah, fair.
Okay,
True,
so I'm going to start there. But we as a culture have got to go way back upstream, because if you grow up in a house with a mom and a dad in a committed monogamous relationship, in a marriage, and they're caring for you, they're providing for you, the percentage of people that come into homelessness from that is so tiny compared to broken familyville.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you have divorce, you have abuse, you have substance abuse, all that. That's much more. You're much more likely to come out into homelessness out of that community than you are if you come to a stable family. So I know us social conservatives, our issues are always big distractions from the other issues, like cutting taxes and economic freedom and all that.
Yeah.
Look, you're never going to get to healthy society without healthy families. You've got to have that. Okay. So I'm not saying we're going to solve that overnight, but you got to take it seriously as a culture and as political leaders, that if we have healthy families with moms and dads and committed monogamous relationships, pouring into their kids, providing for their kids, taking their kids to school like Blake's doing today and everybody else is doing this week, you are actually working to provide a better society moving forward. When the government has to step in the way that Mike Johnston's initiatives are, that's a failure of the family structure more often than not. Okay, so we got to go up there and make sure we're promoting healthy families. We got to start with emergency services and make sure that they're always protected. But at the end of the day, the people that are actually solving homelessness are groups like Step Denver, Denver Rescue Mission, and Catholic Charities.
Yes, they're the ones that have the track record. And
the evidence shows that.
Yep. And when Denver was setting up their plan, they didn't ask. They didn't look at what they were doing in the process. They figured they had a better idea. And I like where you're going with the idea of the solid families. Caller Tracy, he couldn't hang with us, but said what we're talking about is going back to things like the Beatitudes, going back to how you create this healthy community. And you're absolutely right about two-parent families, because it is incredibly difficult on a single parent, not only just financially, but it's also emotionally difficult, because when you're in that two-parent family, when you're in that two-parent relationship and dealing with the kids, you have a partner. You have someone that you can have a sounding board, someone that all single parents have, and even parents that, the spouse has left for like the weekend or something because they got a business trip, and you've had that moment with the kids, like, will you just, you get to that point where you need a break. And my wife and I oftentimes would just like, your turn. Yeah. And you know that, especially with young ones, it is so stressful and
incredibly hard.
When you're trying to do it on your own, that's another layer of stress. And when you can turn to your partner and say, hey, I'm having a hard day. You have someone to sound off of, and it's okay. Unfortunately, sometimes in those single family households, the child becomes the emotional support. The adult turns to the child and has conversations with them simply because they're the other person in the family, but they don't need to. You shouldn't be talking to a 12 or 13-year-old about the strains in the budget. You shouldn't be talking about some of the strains you're having at work. You can share those things with them, but that's something that happens in a two-person committed relationship. And the child feels more supported because of the love that is surrounding them. It's not a detriment if it's single. There's so many single parents out there that have done amazing work, but every single parent has had a moment where this would be easier and better if I had that partner.
Yeah,
you don't have
that's
to force the partner on them, but it would have. There are those moments that the kid is acting out, or I've had a horrible day and I can't deal with this, or I just need a break so I can decompress. But single parents aren't allowed that, and it's so much harder. You're right about the two-parent thing.
So some researchers went out and looked at what are three things. What are three things you could do to almost guarantee you will not end up in poverty or homeless?
Be born as a Hilton.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
That really helps.
That helps too. Yep.
Yes, it does.
Okay. This is called the success sequence. If you do these three things, this comes from the Brookings Institute, which is not really, this is not a big conservative think tank or anything. This is kind of middle of the road. You do these three things, you're almost guaranteed not to end up in poverty. Okay.
All right.
One, graduate from high school.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. You got to get that done.
Yep.
Maintain a full-time job, or at least have a partner who does that.
Yep.
Okay. Have that. And then have children while married after the age of 21.
Yeah.
If you choose to become parents.
Those are all very, very solid. Those are all solid choices.
If you do those three things, you're almost guaranteed not to end up in poverty.
Yep. It doesn't mean that you are doomed if you don't follow those three things, because there are people that have done those and made it out. But that's the keys to success. It's like the idea of, hey, if you get that high school diploma, the jobs that are available are much better than if you didn't graduate high school. And that's why people go back and get the GEDs, because
you could even be a congresswoman.
Yeah, exactly. You can. You sure can. Because everybody's had that has dropped out of high school has had that experience in the working world where you all of a sudden hit that ceiling. And it's not a glass ceiling you have to break through. It is a hard ceiling that you will not get promoted beyond this. Buddy of mine in high school dropped out and was great employee at a grocery store, spent a couple of years there, and he had all of the experience needed to get elevated to the manager. Now it's night manager, but it's manager. And he was passed over once, passed over twice. He came to the boss and said, wait, how come I'm not considered for this? And he said, it requires a high school diploma. You don't have one. I can't even put your name in. The next day he signed up for GED classes. That's the example.
So what should Mayor Mike Johnston do? Here's what I think he should do. This is going to sound a little heartless, but this is what he's got to do. One, you're not allowed to camp outside in the city of Denver. Sorry, we're not going to let you sleep outside. Okay. If you want to sleep outside, you're going to get a ticket. You get too many tickets, you're going to jail. Okay. Which, will solve the housing price or the homeless problem in one sense, but you can't camp out. We're not allowing encampments to happen. You can't sleep on the street. It's not going to happen in the city of Denver. Number two, if you want help, here's where you go. The Denver Rescue Mission, Catholic Charities, Step Denver. Those are your three options. We don't want you to be homeless. In fact, we'll even maybe run some government funds through these great organizations that are going to solve the soul problem, get you the mental health services you need. But it's not going to be the city's job to house you and care for you. It's not our job. Okay. We'll allow these other great organizations to actually help you. But he's got to get the city cleaned up. He's got to get businesses back down there. And we just cannot be the housing service for thousands and thousands of homeless people. It's not the government's job to do that. It's not the city's job to do that. Okay. There are plenty of charities out there that will help you with that. They're the ones that are going to take the lead on it. But my job as the mayor of the city of Denver is to get businesses back here, to improve the economy. And the last thing I'm going to do is take $155 million from my own citizens to put into a failed homeless program. It's not right for him to do that. So that's what does it sound a little more heartless than what he's doing? Yeah. But I think it actually would work better and make the city of Denver better. All right.
I think you're right. Let's try Mike.
All right. Mike, Highlands Ranch, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Mike.
Morning.
Good morning. I have a question and a solution. My question first is, how much of our tax dollars is being spent on the private sector Section 8 housing?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Or individuals.
I don't know either.
Well, it should be a line item that we all should know, because that private sector, that's a house that's being paid off by us, the taxpayers.
That's right.
And the person that's living there never will get to own that home. He can rent it, and it's subsidized by my tax dollars until it's paid off. And all it does is generate equity for that individual and a burden to my pocketbook. And I just find that to be a problem that needs to be resolved. I mean,
Mike, to your point, the city of Denver is just not coming up with money. They're not just printing money. They're literally taking money from people that are really struggling to get by, to give it to people so that they can have some form of housing first policy. And I don't think that's fair.
I just find it. I just would like to know how much is being spent on Section 8 housing,
Yeah,
and how
it's a
much
good
of that
question.
100
We'll look
million.
it
Here's
up.
my solution.
Yeah, what's the solution?
My solution. We set up temporary sleeping arrangements in RTD parking lots around the city that have laundries, bathrooms, tents with cots, like a soup kitchen style, that offers, food, a selection of food, and it's protected by law enforcement. It's a safe place, but these temporary housing tents can hold hundreds of people. They can use the RTD system to get to jobs that they may find that better their lives, but we need to force them out of sleeping on the streets and trashing our intersections with handouts and begging, and it's just a disaster.
Yeah. There's no right to do that in the city of Denver. I don't know why we tolerate it. Mike, I really appreciate the call.
These camps,
Wait, real quick.
These camps real quick can have medical assistance there, psychological assistance.
Yeah.
All the needs that these people need could be right there centralized in these temporary locations and RTD parking lots throughout the city.
Not bad, Mike. Not bad. Just up
Nice
against the
job,
hard break
man.
here. We'll be back.
Good
You're
job.
listening
Call
to
again.
the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Great conversation on homelessness here in the city of Denver, which more people are coming to. Do you think they like Mike Johnston's plan? I mean, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Housing for them.
It was like Jim couldn't hang on right now, but he said, yeah, that's what do you think happened when they put the big sign up about sanctuaries? It's the same thing here. Same thing.
Exactly right.
And as friend of the show that will remain anonymous said, the Housing First programs are the Colorado Rockies of homeless programs. Yes, sir, you're right.
Breaking news, I'm Matthew Perry. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, August 15th, and you've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Billy Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So let's add another cup of coffee to your morning, Denver, and dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. That's 303-696-1971, or text us. Can I say on the 710 KNUS app if we fix that?
No, not yet. We still got a number. We got a number.
What is
you
the
have to do. I don't know. It's not 911. I had it written down somewhere. I don't know where it went. Kelly's going to be so mad at this. He's going to be so mad.
720-892. 720-892-6757. 720-892-6757. If you'd like to join the conversation, we'd love to have you. Let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, guys. 69 and sunny, expecting a high of 88 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, well-known anti-violence advocate in Denver, Lumumba Sayers Sr., was formally charged with first-degree murder on Thursday. The 17th Judicial District Attorney's Office announced the filing of charges against Sayers Sr. for his alleged role in the death of Malcolm Watson at a child's birthday party in Commerce City. It happened at Pioneer Park on August 10th.
Because we know there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Mind your own damn business.
Vice presidential candidates Tim Walz and J.D. Vance have agreed to a debate on CBS on October 1st. I don't want to get cocky here, but Vance should mop the freaking floor with this nut job. Vance and Trump hit a home run with the fact that Kamala Khan has been in office almost 4 years. She's campaigning against herself.
This November, voters are going to give radical liberal Kamala Harris the opportunity to try something new, a real job in the private sector for the first time in her life. Just think of it, for her, but day one for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Why hasn't she done it?
Kamala, day one was January of 2021. Day one was 4 years ago, Kamala Harris, and because of your policies, too many children can't afford a nice meal. Too many children have been killed by fentanyl. Too many grandparents are raising kids they didn't plan for, and too many families can't afford a special meal on a Friday night.
The Trump and Harris campaigns will be in New York and New Jersey today. Former President Trump holding a news conference at his New Jersey golf club in Bedminster. Something I hear a lot from people, especially ones with TDS, they don't want war. Neither do I.
Trump or Kamala?
What are you talking about?
For president, Trump or Kamala?
Kamala.
You were the first person to say Kamala.
Right.
I don't really like her.
Well, I don't care. Belongs in jail.
But the thing is, we have wars around the world now when Democrats are in office.
No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. And this is how we will end the era of inflation, mayhem, and misery under Kamala and Crooked Joe, and unleash economic abundance for Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed.
It's day 25. Kamala Khan has not talked to the free press, or what we used to call the free press. Harris is planning to propose a federal ban on corporate price gouging in food and groceries. She'll unveil her economic policy platform
Can they do
tomorrow.
a ban on price gouging and taxes? I mean, seriously,
Right.
Can you just
Yes.
start by not raising taxes on people instead of telling corporations what to do?
It's incredible. I mean, a third grader can figure that out.
You would think.
Stop ripping us off, and then, prices will go down.
Colorado's best days are still ahead.
All right, Governor Polis expected to call a special session today dealing with property taxes. Lawmakers could remove 2 property tax initiatives from the November ballot. Some lawmakers are concerned that if the measures passed, the state would have to cover a large expense for local government. Every American I cannot talk this morning, social security number may have been stolen in a new hack, with 2.7 billion records allegedly stolen. Hacking group US DoD claims they have stolen 2.7 billion records of Americans' personal information. The personal information includes social security numbers and physical addresses. The data was allegedly stolen from data broker National Public Data, or data, however you want to pronounce it. The broker offers personal info to employers, private investigators, and staffing agencies. For example, US DoD
are we
is
all
allegedly offering to sell the stolen records.
Are we all going to get that? Like, you get 6 months of identity theft protection as a result of that.
Absolutely. Have you ever had that? Do you have that?
Oh yeah, I definitely have identity theft protection.
Yeah, I was going to say you definitely need it.
You remember those guys that guy that gave out his social security number all the time? What was it for? He put it on like billboards.
Oh yeah,
because he was an
right.
identity theft protection organization, and he was so confident in his product, and then he ended up having his identity stolen as a result of it. So we're now all that guy, Blake. We all got our social security numbers out on billboards and sides of buses now, thanks to the incompetence of these companies. Shit.
They know freaking everything about
it.
The Taliban held a military parade at Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan with the U.S. military equipment that they stole after the disastrous Biden-Harris withdrawal. That needs to be brought up as well. The Taliban was celebrating the 3rd anniversary of taking over the former U.S. Air Base as they trolled the U.S. with some of the $85 billion in military equipment. Once again, here they are. If that doesn't make you angry, I don't know what will.
It's the Ilhan Omar victory rally.
That's right. There you go. Get out the bongos and the protest drums. By the way, I have something for you as you get ready for Chicago tomorrow. I'll bring that to you, a little protester preparation. I'll give that since tomorrow is Friday and you're getting ready to go to Windy City. All right, Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 11-4. If you want to watch baseball today, the Padres in town at Coors at 6:40 first pitch. 68 in Lakewood, 70 in Aurora, 69 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue on the Power Hour. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Sunshine for much of the day across the Denver Metro with added cloud cover late this afternoon and early tonight. Still going to run the slight chance for some showers and thunder towards evening. Highs today will be in the mid-80s, clearing tonight, low 60s. Sunny, warmer Friday and this weekend. Low to mid-90s for highs and lows lower 60s. Dry Friday and Saturday, showers and thunder on Sunday. Weather brought to you by branchplanning.com. Secure your future retirement with a reliable income stream. Annuities provide guaranteed payments, giving you peace of mind. Get your review at branchplanning.com or call 720-651-9800. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Billy and I are going to have a lot of fun evening, and you should join us.
Yes,
come out to the Taste of Douglas County at the Douglas County Fairgrounds from 5 to 8 p.m. tonight, and hang out with Mike Boyles too. He's a cool dude.
He's a great guy. They're letting us in public. Us. Okay, Jeff, I can see me. Public, this can go sideways real quickly. We're going to be hanging out, Taste of Douglas County. Come on out and see us 5 to 7. $10 advance tickets. Going to be $20 at the door. The key to the Taste of Douglas County is you get to walk around and sample all the amazing restaurants that are there in the community. They give you little tasters. You can come back and get seconds. The idea is you can shop around and find those restaurants that maybe you haven't visited in the area, or even ones you can stretch a little bit further outside of your local neighborhood and come find some amazing discoveries you can take your friends and family to. But the most important thing is you can take a picture with history. Yes, Jeff is going to bring the sweatshirt that changed the free speech rules at the Capitol. Because of this show and my partner, Jeff Hunt, you have more freedom today in Colorado. No other radio show does that for you. This is the value we provide because you listen for free. We appreciate it. But come take a picture wearing the sweatshirt that changed history with us tonight. There's only one of them. You can go to the CCU bookstore. You can buy a knockoff. You can get your own. You can show it to friends. But we got the one that changed history. And you can take a picture wearing it. Come see us at the booth. Say hi. Make fun of me. I know how it goes. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. But come on out, say hello. Take a picture, part of history, and a bunch of wonderful food that Mike Boyle's helping us out with in the Taste of Douglas County. We're going to be there between 5 and 7. I hope you're there with us.
It'll be a lot of fun. Good food, good drinks, good company.
Yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to wear a KNUS shirt, though. I don't think that's allowed. I'm not
You're
sure.
gonna like write a magic marker.
I think I'm gonna have to, just in case. I might have to, because they don't want me wearing the logo in public. Have you seen me? They know what kind of trouble I cause. Yeah.
So I want to wrap this just real quick before we get to the news on Matthew Perry, which is kind of interesting, and his friends. Matthew Perry and his friends.
I know.
So I'm going a little viral on X right now.
Hey, nice.
My X account is x.com/Jeff Hunt. Here's the headline from Fox 31 about the homeless count.
Yeah.
Okay. Denver homeless population hits record high in 2024 count. A record number, right?
Yeah.
Honest headline.
Yep.
We have a record high.
That is absolutely true.
Then Channel 9, and what I could only describe as a reprinting of the press release from Mike Johnston's headline, Denver Mayor Mike Johnston, so this is on the same day, is celebrating what his office is calling, quote, significant strides in reducing the number of unsheltered homeless people in the city of Denver.
So in other words, they Clarked it.
They did Clark it. And I posted both those headlines. I just said, you don't hate 9 News enough.
Yes. That's why we're friends. Nicely done.
4,000 views on that so far.
Oh,
so
that's wonderful.
Let's rank that up a little bit more.
Yeah, let's do that. Go check out Jeff's account on X.
They're
That
just
is ridiculous.
reprinting Mike Johnston's press releases at this point. On the same day that the headline comes out, Denver homeless population hits record high count.
Yeah.
We're going to ignore the actual report and just take the headline from Mike Johnston's press release.
In the news business, if intrepid newsman Blake Olson could join us right now, but he's got other things he has to be doing. He has other things in his life, so he can't join us right now. But intrepid newsman Blake Olson would put on his fedora with the press thing on it, and he would say, that's called a buried lead. It means that you're
exactly
you're
right.
burying the actual subject matter of the story. The thing that is the most important gets the least amount of attention in that headline and in that cell. But it's 9 News. You surprised? We're not. Yeah.
And I love that picture that everyone always posts of Mayor Mike Johnston and Kyle Clark with their arms around each
exactly.
other.
We're buddies.
They are buddies.
I know.
All right. Some bad news for some of Matthew Perry's friends.
Nice job.
Arrest made in Matthew Perry death investigation. Friends star Matthew Perry died in October from acute effects of ketamine. He was 54 years old. Fox reporting at least one arrest has been made in a connection to the death of Matthew Perry. Charges are expected to be announced at a press conference later this morning in Los Angeles. The Friends star died October 28th of an apparent drowning in a hot tub at his home in the Pacific Palisades. He was 54. Los Angeles Police Department officials previously confirmed to Fox News that the department was still actively working on the investigation. I watched that interview with him. Man, it was so tragic because he was so talented when he first started. And I was a huge Friends fan. I think you said too, right? I've watched all the episodes multiple times.
I have the Friends version of Cards Against Humanity.
No,
that's how nerd I am. We even have, I think it's the first 5 seasons on DVD. Yeah, that's how old school we are. In
Nice.
Yeah.
So it was sad to watch his journey.
Oh, it's awful.
Because he bounced between alcohol addiction and opioid addiction.
Yeah, and you could see it in the show.
You could see it in the show. So when he was thin, it was opioid addiction. When he was overweight, it was alcohol addiction,
Yeah.
and he just went back and forth. And he did that interview talking about how I think the first time he got drunk or used drugs was he was really young, like middle school, I think. And he just had always been ever since then, really loved the feeling of it. So he stayed kind of addicted for most of his life. But do you think it's right to arrest people for providing the drug, but not taking the drug in the death or murder of somebody?
Ooh.
Right. So obviously you could arrest them for distributing a drug, right? That's one thing.
Yeah.
But connecting them to the death of somebody, is that necessary for us to address the overdose problem that we're having?
That's an interesting question. I like where you're going with that one, because there are many layers morally, ethically, and intellectually. It's a nice, deep question. I think that the answer is depends on our goals. I don't think that arresting someone that provides the drugs in an overdose death will necessarily curtail the overdoses based on the drug user. However, it can curtail supply, and that may be the goal, or at least part of the solution here. If it is harder and more difficult to get a hold of the illicit drugs that you're trying to put in your system, or the person supplying them to you knows that you shouldn't have X, Y, or Z, maybe it changes the exposure. And what I mean by that is a friend of mine from college posted that there are in some states, and I think in Colorado as well, a restriction on the amount of marijuana you can buy. And he was talking about in his state that he had no idea there was a limit. And so, again, that's his thing. But he could only buy so much at some time. And I don't remember the reason or anything else. He was just mad about it. But I think that's kind of the idea is, okay, if you're walking into the dispensary shop and you're like, hey, can I buy 5 pounds of your best stuff? Maybe you're not going home and Cheech and Chonging it. You're probably not. You're probably distributing it. So same thing here. If that's what we want to constrain the access, okay. I'm not certain how long-term it's going to be effective, but if we decide that we want to control supply side this way based on punishment, okay. I can get there with you. What do you think about it?
But Fox, I think... Oh, I just missed the headline on
it. Said multiple arrests. I'll see what I can find.
Are they getting into multiple arrests
now?
now?
Looks like more people. More of his friends. Uh-oh. Don't worry about the guy that worked behind the
Joey?
counter.
Do you think it's Joey?
No.
Which one would most likely... It would be
good
Phoebe
question.
or Joey, right?
Yeah, the thing is, it would be Joey for the easy stuff. Phoebe'd know the hard stuff. Phoebe'd be the one. If you needed the real hard stuff, Phoebe'd know where to get it. Yes,
stuff.
she would know. She would know.
Oh, man. Well, look, I'm a little torn on it because I believe in personal responsibility. If you're the one that harms yourself by taking stuff,
fair.
well, then you're the idiot who did it.
Yeah.
But I also believe strongly in the war on drugs.
Yeah.
I know I just made everybody in Colorado go, I just failed war on drugs.
Either that or I had that t-shirt.
I almost bought this the other day. I saw a Dare hat. I was like, I'm going back to the Dare days, baby.
Okay. Again, this is why we're friends. I almost bought a Dare t-shirt about a month ago just because I'm like, I kind of want that. Just because. Yes. Yeah.
Iggy texted in, Matthew Perry wanted the drug he took, so that's on him. So, yeah. But
I get it, Iggy. I get it.
I think that these people are killing Americans. Drug dealers are killing Americans, and they should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. And I don't care if our jails are overcrowded. If you're dealing out substances to people that is harming their lives, that's driving them into homelessness, that's putting all the tax burden upon all the rest of us, and you're making your cash and you're living your life and all that stuff. No, I think you should be punished. So that's where I'm a little torn
Now,
on.
here's the thing is, and I would love to hear what the listeners say. 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, leapfrogging off of what Iggy has said, that Matthew Perry took the drugs. It's on him. Okay. That is a fair liberty argument. But you know how I like to make things difficult. If you're arguing that it is the drug user's choice and all the impact and effects should be on them, have you joined the camp of Heroin Barbie and Brittany Pedersen? Have you advocated for safe drug injection sites? That we need to allow these people to do their drugs because it's their choice. We shouldn't infringe on their choices, but we should at least make sure they're safe when they're doing them, right? Wouldn't that be the nice,
not harming other people,
do?
but driving and stuff like that?
Exactly. And so that would be the case, that if we say it's the choice of the individual, well, maybe what we need to do instead is set up at Civic Center Park some large bowls. Maybe some of them will have opioids. Maybe some of them will have cocaine. Maybe some of them will have mushrooms. And you can go by and take what you need. It's your choice. No one's giving them to you. No one's forcing them on you. You don't even have to pay. You have the freedom to make the choice. Is that a great idea? I'm not so certain. I'm not so certain that's a great idea. And while I say the individual drug user does have that freedom of choice, I do say there also is the freedom of choice of the person that is providing it to them. And there's an issue with bartenders. I was a bartender. There's a point in which you have to cut off people that are there drinking too much because you're responsible for their behavior because they are so inebriated.
Yep, that's right.
Same thing with the drug dealers. There is a level of responsiveness and responsibility. Sorry, misspoke. Based on you providing it.
Are you a responsible drug dealer or not?
Yeah, exactly.
Responsible drug dealer.
Exactly, which sounds really weird. I can't believe that series of words came out of my face.
Well, speaking of responsible care, why don't you tell us about Balanced Well Space?
Yeah, I want to tell you about an amazing medical team that has made a huge difference in my life. I thought I was going to have to live in pain. Great example from this past weekend. Go out to a restaurant, and we're celebrating my father-in-law's birthday. And my back has been feeling great because of the treatments I've been getting at Balanced Well Space. I was a dummy. I sat wrong in the chair. I wasn't concerned about my posture. So part of the way through the dinner, my right leg goes dead numb. My left leg starts tingling. I go a little gray. My wife, who's across the table from me, looks at me like, "Are you okay?" And so there's that back and forth. So I get up, wander around the restaurant, wander outside a little bit, and I'm just in an uncomfortable pain the rest of the evening. Months ago, if this has happened, I'm on my back the next day. I'm spending the entire Sunday on the floor or in bed, and I've got heating pads. I'm popping ibuprofen, followed by the ibuprofen, followed by acetaminophen, back to back to back to back to back to back to back, just waiting for the time limit to expire so I can get the new set of pills in my face. Not anymore. I woke up Sunday, a little twinge. 10 minutes later, I'm fine. I actually went out and did yard work, and I detailed my car. You listen to the show, you know how important that is to me, to spend the time to get inside the nooks and crannies and clean that car like I want it to be cleaned. I wasn't worried about my back, and that's because of the team at Balanced Well Space. Check them out, balancewellspace.com. Balancewellspace.com. It's integrative medicine. They have chiropractic care, neuropathy, physical rehabilitation, wave therapy, regenerative care, trigger point injections, many, many more. The list is way too long for me to run through the entire thing right now, and they have some special cutting-edge modalities as well that can do amazing things. The nice part is it's a one-stop shop. You go meet the team at Balanced Well Space, you're going to talk to Dr. Julie, Dr. Jess, you're going to talk to B, you're going to talk to Sarah, and they're going to evaluate you. The poke, prod, take the pictures, and then they create a custom pain plan tailored to your needs. Not just what hurts, but what do you want to do? They ask you what you're hurting from, and then what is it preventing you from doing? That's the goal, to get you living your life like you want to be living it right now. Like I'm starting to be able to because of the amazing care I'm getting from them. And then the next great thing kicks in. It's a one-stop shop, one office, all that care under one roof. If you're going to have neuropathy, you go to one office. You do your physical rehabilitation, chiropractic, another office. Wave therapy, maybe a third, regenerative care somewhere, trigger points. You're all over town. That's time out of your life, time that you can't spend living your life. Balanced Well Space, one stop. You go from office to office to office. They get you out of there. You're done, hour and a half. And now you're doing what you want to do. I want you to live your life the way that you want to. Stop the pain stopping you from making those choices like I was. Go check them out. They can make a difference in your life like they're making a difference in mine. Imagine that time where you've done something dumb with that pain, your leg, back, knee, shoulder, and the next day it doesn't hurt like it used to. Balancewellspace.com. They can make the difference. They're the experts I trust. Balancewellspace.com. Get a hold of them today. Back to you,
Great
Jeff.
to hear, Billy. All right, when we come back, I want to get into this issue. How much are you willing to spend to improve race relations via reparations? Kamala Harris supports reparations. How much are you willing to spend? You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. The Daily Caller had an interesting article. Kamala Harris backs reparation payments, but voters in this particular swing state disagree. New battleground polling shows that voters in the key state of Arizona do not support race-based reparation payments that are backed by Vice President Kamala Harris. As a senator, Harris co-sponsored legislation to create a reparations commission to study a race-based equity agenda, including direct payments to Black Americans. Now, Vice President Harris continues her support for reparations, which would punish people today for oppression that occurred before they were born. Nonetheless, in an interview with The Root, Harris remarked, there have to be some form of reparations. Now, we have paid reparations as this country. We paid them to Native Americans. We have paid reparations to the Japanese and the way they were treated during World War II. But do you believe that reparations are good and would be bringing about unity after the division that slavery brought to this nation? Well, they went and polled in Arizona. They don't even believe in it a little bit. Overall, only 20% of likely voters there support reparations, while 66% oppose them and 14% are unsure. The poll was run by the League of American Workers. So, Billy, you think this would harm Kamala Harris in Arizona, or is this kind of a passing issue?
I don't think this long term is going to hurt because, one, it's obvious pandering. I mean, completely and totally blatant pandering, because there's no way functionally that would have worked, nor could it have passed, nor was any president going to sign that. It's untenable. So she is grandstanding. It is open grandstanding to say, look what I'm doing for you, despite the fact, and this, I get so mad at lawmakers for doing this on both sides of the aisle, because you know it's not going to go anywhere. Stop wasting my time. Don't sponsor a bill that doesn't have a feasible path forward. I'm not talking about acquiescing to your opposition. I'm just, give at least something that you can move forward on. Her plan's ridiculous, stupid, and it's unmanageable. The only problem, though, is that this is just going to be another one of the things that she has flipped on. And I don't think in this political environment that's going to work as it has in the past. And that's only because of the individuals involved in the political race right now for presidency, that on both sides, on both the Republican ticket and on the Democrat ticket, there's a list of things that everybody's changed their views on, gone from one side to the other, chosen different things, switched political parties. All of that has happened. So I don't think that, hey, that person changed their mind is going to be as effective when you can just turn around and go, well, so did your ticket. I just
Billy,
don't think so.
Do you think that reparations would improve race relations in America?
No, I don't. And here's the problem. I think that we need to have an honest discussion about it. And I do think there is a problem. And I understand the idea. I totally understand the critique of people today not being responsible for slavery, but there are people today that were alive during some of the civil rights movements and alive through 60s, 70s, and 80s, where things were not where they should be based on race relations, with redlining and, tacit, we can go into a long list of things about if you take a resume and you put what looks like a white name on the top of the resume and what looks like a black name on top of the resume, the response rate is different, the interview rate is different, that kind of thing. So we have information about it. And the best explanation I had heard was the idea of a group of people getting together and playing Monopoly and having the first 50 turns and having two of the players sit out, and then bringing those two players in and say, now let's continue the game.
After everybody else has already bought up all the property.
And so those two players are at a significant disadvantage. Now, the problem is how you would do anything as far as reparations. That's where it all
falls apart.
And that's where it feels good. And we can all agree that, yes, things were done incorrectly, but the solution is wrong. And this is why I talk about we need to have a conversation about race, because the reason we need to have that conversation about race is because we can avoid things like, hey, I need to give you dollars. I need to give you this. I need to give you this. If we can just talk about what happened and come to an agreement that, yes, we can't have that happen. We need to be aware of it and move forward. There may be some programs, some things that you can do as far as allowing first-time Black home buyers a lower mortgage rate. There are other things we can do. But an idea of a check, and that thing is really, really difficult because the problem is, how do you decide who gets the check? What's the list? Do you have to do genealogy and trace yourself back to a specific slave family? Do you have to be in the country for so long? Do you have to, if your family arrived during the civil rights era and was denied access to equal education, are you part of reparations? That's the problem with the idea of cutting a check to someone. For me, it's more about looking at the system and having places where we allow the system to balance out. And if that means, rather than cutting a check for someone, if that means instead that the taxpayer is going to provide a tax break or something else, for me, that's easier to get to because it allows them to achieve. I don't want to hand them a pile of money. I want to give them the ability to achieve. That's what I'm looking for.
Steve Cortez, the author of this article in Daily Caller, pointing out Kamala Harris's embrace of reparations paid based on race, writes this: we've already paid in this country reparations mightily, waging a devastating war to end the evil of slavery. The reparations were paid with the lives of well over 300,000 Union soldiers, men who died to reunite our nation and abolish human bondage on these shores. In fact, the Civil War was so brutal that the total loss of life equates to over 7 million dead in today's population terms. Those radicals rude enough to demand additional reparations should visit Gettysburg National Cemetery, where over 3,500 Union soldiers lay for eternity, their young lives sacrificed for a great cause that led to the elimination of slavery in our land. Reparations were indeed paid, not just by those brave men, but by the widows and orphans they left behind. Tell me what you think. 303-696-1971. Are financial reparations necessary to improve race relations in America? Or text us. Bring that back up. 720-892-6757. That's 720-892-6757. Let's go to the phones with Frank. Frank, Denver, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning.
Hey, guys, I think you guys have already given part of the answer. That study, Jeff, that you related about the high school graduation, full-time job, and raising children after 21 are some of the keys for success and no poverty. I was telling Billy about a movie I heard about with James Garner called The Ultimate Gift. And that was when he was in his older years, but the gift, the secret gift was work. And people want to work. I think it's fulfilling if you find the right work. I don't know if you've ever listened to the Dave Ramsey show. He has gone from a financial show to a psych show because there's so many people out there that have financial problems, but they're mostly by wrong decisions. Yep. And he's put together a bunch of authors. One guy, John Deloney, a psychologist, writes about anxiety, and another guy, Ken Coleman, that writes about finding the job you're wired for. I think those are two key ingredients, especially finding the job you're wired for. I think this idea of reparations just brings hard feelings on both sides. And I think most of the people that I know, minorities, they're hard workers. They just would like a chance and a fair chance. And that's where I would be coming from, not to be pandering. But of course, politicians can't resist the urge to pander. I think
Frank, I think you're exactly right that they want a chance and an opportunity, and it would just contribute to greater division. And then, Billy, to your point, how do you do this? The complications around all that are spot on. Frank, really appreciate the call. We'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
All right, Billy, let's go to the phone line. Scott, Aurora, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Scott.
Morning.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bill. Hey, the racial equity problem, I guess what this is. During the last session under the Golden Dome, they had a bill they were trying to pass to basically do a racial study on Black Coloradans. And I looked at each one of those bullet points. It was things like childhood obesity, home ownership, financial security. List could go on. Every single one of them tied back to the broken family.
Yep. And unfortunately, the left won't address that because it goes against their entire kind of worldview of just live the way you want to live and do what you want to and all that stuff. And it just doesn't work out. It ends up with broken families, which then comes broken community, and then comes big government programs spending $155 million to deal with homelessness, all that stuff. And a lot of it goes back to the brokenness of the family. You're exactly right, Scott.
A healthy nuclear family is a healthy society.
That's exactly right. And I, as the Mike Pence of Colorado, will stand alone if I need to in the Republican Party because I apparently distract people from the real issues.
We wouldn't be alone. Your wife would be next to you. You know, 'cause it's a nuclear family.
That is very true. Scott from
Thanks,
Aurora,
Scott,
I
man.
sure appreciate it.
Call again.
Billy, we've got a fun evening planned.
Yes, we do. We're going to be out of the Taste of Douglas County. You've heard Mike Boyle talk about it, both on promos and on his radio show. He helps organize this amazing Taste of Douglas County where you get to walk around and get samples from all of the delicious restaurants there. But tonight, you can also experience history. Come on out, hang out with Jeff and Bill. We're not going to be broadcasting live. We're just going to be hanging there with you so we can talk offline, everything else. But the most important thing, your moment with history. Jeff is going to bring the sweatshirt that changed the rules here in Colorado. You have more freedom today than you had last week because of this article of clothing. You can put it on, take a picture, show your friends and family. What is it? It's a sweatshirt that Jeff wore down to the state capitol. They kicked him out. They said, you can't wear that in the gallery because of political speech. No. He did the right thing. He stood up. He fought the man. They changed the rule this week. More freedom. You get to wear your political clothing in the gallery at the Capitol because of my partner. And tonight at the Taste of Douglas County, you can take a picture with history. We'll let you wear the sweatshirt. We'll let you take pictures. This is the one. So you want to talk about how you have more freedom? What other radio show in all of Colorado has taken the time to expand your freedoms? That's why you spend time with us in the morning, and that's why I spend time with this man across the glass from me. Come out, take a picture with history. Taste of Douglas County. We're going to be there at the fairgrounds, 5 to 7 p.m. tonight. Also, you mentioned your ticket includes delicious food. You walk around, explore some brand new restaurants, and even go back to the ones that you love. They'll let you have seconds. I've tried it out. So come on out. Hang with us. Mike Boyle's a great guy. We're going to be messing around the entire time, but most importantly, you and a picture with that sweatshirt. I hope you're out there with us tonight, 5 to 7.
And Billy, there is a competing activity taking place, and I don't want to take away from the Taste of Douglas County, but the alternative is listening to a Jared Polis press conference.
Oh, so, I wasn't paying attention. Sorry about that.
He wants to go after Michael Fields and Christy Burton Brown and their ballot initiatives to lower your property taxes. So he's doing a press conference.
There's a special session he's talking about that he wants to put a stop to solutions that the voters would get to choose. What is a better example of everything we've talked about this morning about the crazy Democrats grabbing a hold and control of your freedoms than Jared Polis trying to call a special session to stop you from voting on the change you want? Is there anything more perfect about the crystallization of what's wrong with this state?
I can't believe they
Anything
can
else?
do that. I can't believe an initiative-led ballot initiative, a citizen-led ballot initiative can be stopped by a special session.
Yeah. We were talking about
and in what world do those optics look good?
Oh, exactly.
We're going out there to really lower your property taxes, and guess who stopped that and stepped in the way of that?
Yeah. Here's the thing is we talked about Jeff wearing political clothing down there at the Capitol today. You can take a picture with it tonight at Taste of Douglas County. But I'm going to be disappointed if Jared Polis isn't out there wearing a sweatshirt that says, I don't care about your vote. Your opinion doesn't matter. That's what he's telling you.
And you know what? I'm gonna get a bedazzled Speedo to wear down to the state capitol now.
Dude, if you get one, I'll get a matching one.
In support of your property tax rights. That's where it's going next. As you can see, this is a wild show, and we're a bunch of wild guys. So if you want to come hang out with us tonight, Taste of Douglas County, 5 to 8 p.m. at the Douglas County Fairground. It'll be a ton of fun. And Mike Boyles will be there too.
Yeah, take pictures with us. Have fun. Lots of free food. It's, again, $10 if you buy them ahead of time. You show up at the door, it's going to be $20. So buy them online before you get to the door. And it's only $10 to get in there. Free food.
We've got a great afternoon coming up.
Gorka and Mark Levin later. Absolutely fire shows today. So stick with Salem and 710 KNUS. If you missed the show, go download the podcast at 710knus.com. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. We'll see you tonight.